Shalom, shalom, shalom. Bless you. And thank you for my moderator, Kelly, my moderator, Gwendolyn. Shalom, sisters. Thank you for being faithful. And I think I'm going to hell based on how I was talking to that tech support person. But he did actually ask me to explain to him how to use Mac. I just lost it. Anyway, so I just was like, okay, I'm not going to deal with this. I got to do the broadcast. This is all trying to fight for me to not do the broadcast. So, hallelujah in the name of Yahusha. Bind those demons, those bots, those evil spirits, pierce them with weapons of warfare down to their armor and pierce them to their souls and tie them and bind them in the depths of hell. We give you all glory, honor, and praise. Yahuwah, Yahuwah Alahayaka Baruka. We love you. And you know me, I struggle with my temper, fam. I do. Can't let these people get my Moses if I have to crawl into a hole. If I have to crawl into a kuka in a mountain. Anyway, welcome, family. So, wow. I mean, we have so much to talk about. Oh my goodness, my brain is exploding with stuff I have to convey to you guys, which it's just, family, it's painful. I cannot not do this. It's really, it's like, you're made for certain things. User 144, shalom. I love that name. T Steel, shalom, shalom. So we're going to take a little minute to get up here while I try to get myself organized. It might be a little messy. I'm going to ask you guys, family, in the name of Yahusha, that the Ruach HaKodesh lead us into all truth and cover and protect me and guide me, and that I take my time. I've been noticing, family, that I'm making mistakes because I'm rushing and I'm kind of not really mentally back up to speed quite yet because the fasting, it really drains the brain. So, excuse me. So anyway, I'm going to ask you to encourage me to slow down, which is what I need to do. So I can really get through this teaching, because sometimes I'm missing elements, because it's like I got to just go. Even if I'm missing an element, I just got to go. Otherwise, it's just going to get postponed, and this stuff is timely right now. So welcome, fam. All right. So wow. Who's financing the war? Who's financing Russia for the war? Africa is the foundation. We talk about colonialism. We've talked about how, Russia has never really been much of a colonialist, except for in the region of where? Sudan. China and Russia, China in particular, has been very active in the Sudan since 2011. You can see that in my videos on the Four Carpenters. And Russia was supplying the weaponry. Okay. The destabilization, the people in Darfur in the Sudan are largely Muslim. They seem to be a mix of Shem and Ham, really probably Chaldeans, right? Assyrians or Chaldeans, right? Shemites. And also, of course, Yasharel is there, Israel's there. And of course, we saw Joseph Kony with the armies and everything there in that region from about 2000 to 2004, even up to 2012. That is how they began to get control over this region. And this is why, when we're talking about the Sudan and everything happening there right now, what is really happening, family, is that Russia owns the Sudan. And the Sudan has been buying Russia. So the Sudan is called one of the poorest countries in Africa in the world. But don't you know, family? Don't you know that they are sending billions in gold to Russia? BRICS is being built on gold bricks, a gold standard. One of the top 3 gold producers in the entire world is the Sudan. Family, I've got a bunch of channels competing with a live broadcast for me. So this is just going to be exclusive for those of you who are usually of my very narrow audience. I've got 12 viewers right now, so I'm being really shadow banned. I'm having tech issues. I restarted my computer and my document that I put everything in is not working. I've been using Word on my computer for on my Mac since 2016, and now Word doesn't work on Mac anymore. I told you that my computer was being mirrored by TELUS. So I always have all this kind of stuff going on. So this is a broadcast for those of you who care that they really don't want me to do. So get ready. There's a lot I have to share with you, and I'm going to take my time. So family, please like. We have 11 people in here, so I want to see 11 likes. We only have 11 people in here. And this is a really important broadcast. Let me just take a look and see at what's showing up online before we get into this. I just want to see what is showing up on my page. And I'm going to take my time because I got to take my time. This is the message. I got to slow down because I'm 56. I know, I think I'm 28 still, but I'm not. So, yeah, it looks like the thumbnail is up. And that's right, fam. Russia is being financed by Africa. And yes, they are after those resources. Everyone's after the gold. And how else do you get to a currency of BRICS with a gold standard and not fiat currency? How do you beat oil, an oil-based dollar, with a gold standard? Going back to scripture. And why this is so important is because that is what the Hebrew Israelite Yasharel's whole economy was built on, a gold standard, gold and silver. And so that is the nature of Africa. So Africa is returning to it. And, you know, probably eventually we're going to see that this is why they come up against us, because of that gold standard is going to indebt everyone to Africa. Okay, so I went over, I did my videos. Please watch both of them. This actually, the second one I did on the Shabbat is the most succinct, informational one. It hasn't got as many views because it's got a lot more compressed content to help you understand what's going on with that war. So now we're just continuing with that because this is so very important to understand the positioning of Russia in the West. So I'm just going to go over and see what's going on my channel, how this is looking. Okay, we got 16. Family, I need you to hit that like button and share with one person and tell me who you shared with and put it in the chat. I need you to hit the like button and type into the chat who you are sharing this with, so I can know that you are sharing it. I really need you guys to share this. This is very important news, important information, and I'm just going to ease into this slowly. We have a lot to cover, so we're going to be here for a while. Okay, we are going to be here for a while because there's a lot to cover. Okay, we're going to be talking about the Chaldeans. As usual, we're going to be comparing and contrasting them with the East Indians, with the Egyptians. Okay, and so Russia's war is financed by Africa. All right, so share that with everyone. Right now, I am sharing that. And see, people are trying to frame this as Russia was never a colonialist. They were just unsuccessful in their colonialism. This is the one area where they have acted with the help of China and through China as colonialists. That is true. Okay, and I've said that already in my videos many times, many times. However, very much, as I've said many times before, they have aided Africa. They aided in the Angolan War. They aided in fighting against South Africa through the Cuban-Angolan War. as a proxy war. They also aided the Nigerians and the Bantus in the war with Britain. Okay. So, but they pulled out of it. They couldn't support for as long. Okay. So there has been, you know, a bit of the don't let the right hand know what the left hand has been doing. That's always been the pillar to post, you know, 1-2 punch that the African diaspora has always been getting. And yes, communism has been part of that dynamic, right and left hand dynamic, the sifting of Satan, right? Satan sifts, it's using the two hands, sift. So that's what's been done to Yasharel. I want to see it in the chat, fam, please, if you will, be so kind. I really want to see in the chat who you're sharing with, all right? Because I want to see those likes. We've only got 12 likes. We've got 15 viewers. Okay. So please share. Thank you for sharing, Olivia. Thank you for sharing, Danielia. Thank you for sharing, family. Let's get those likes up. Start sharing. All right, so let's start to get into this, and please continue to put those, if for Kelly and Gwendolyn, if you can put those thumbs up in there to remind people to like, I would really appreciate it so I can focus on this study. You know me, it's always a Brazilian barbecue over here. We've got the skewers, we've got goat meat, we got lamb meat, we got calves, we got bulls, we got rams, and we've got well, doves. I feel bad about the doves. Let's just call it quail. We've got quail. So we got fried quail on the, we got it all on the skewer. We're dipping it into the seething pot with all the Levites. We're going to pull out that meat and we're going to have a heavy meaty feast. Okay, so Brazilian barbecue. All right. Ooh, only 14 viewers, man. It's like they don't want me to teach this. Ooh, child, they don't want me to teach this, family. They do not want me teaching this. They've been fighting me all day through my technology. So yeah, just guide and protect and keep me in the right spirit. And sorry, I let myself get distracted. Let's do the opening prayer. I'm going to just share this, family, so we can do the Kuma Yahuwah. Weafutsu Oyebeka. Weanusu Miseneka Mipeneka. So I'm going to do the opening credits. All right. And I didn't even get a chance to get up on my TikTok. I got so caught up in this tech issue. Let's hope that that my phone doesn't fall off. It's a little technical things, you know me, fam. So yeah, it's gonna fight with me. It might fall off. Yeah. All right, let me play this.
O Yahweh, Kuma, Yahweh, Weaputsu O Yezeaka, Weanusa Misanecha Mituniasa. Arise of you, O Yahweh. Let your enemies be scattered, and let those that hate thee flee from before thee. Give him thanks by saying hallelujah.
Okay, so tell me how y'all are doing. Like I said, this is going to be long, it's going to be deep, and it's Brazilian barbecue. It's not necessarily for the newbies, so you may just have to play catch up, newbies, and ask questions in the chat. Wow. My TikTok has got a lot of views. I have a lot of kind of advertising on there. And I put up these kind of controversial videos to kind of draw people in. So it's kind of interesting. All right, let's get on TikTok. Tell me how you're doing in the chat, family, and tell me what you remember from our last broadcast about India. What did you learn? What did you learn? Russia, and then we're going to go over these videos. I got a lot to show you. So Russian war is financed by Africa. How do you like that? So put it in the chat. What did you learn? Who are the East Indians? That's a simple one. Put it in the chat if you know. Put it in the chat if you know. Who are the East Indians? They are who is their father? Who is the father of the East Indians? Put it in the chat, fam. Put it in the chat. We're just getting started. For those of you who are coming in, this is going to be a quite Shalom Connie. This is going to be quite an intense one. We want to see 24 people. Let's try and get that up higher. I know I'm working at a time when there's a lot of other channels going, Hebrew channels, and especially the popular mainstream Illuminati type ones are going right now. But I'm still doing what I got to do. And I'm just hoping this phone doesn't fall down. Oh my goodness, help me, Abba. Do I have to put gum in there? You have no idea what I'm doing, guys, with my phone here. Just my stand is split. I gotta get it in there. I actually had to use gum. So it didn't work very well. Well, hopefully, no, it just won't do it. Oh, I may have to just put it on top. Just bear with me, family. But yeah, if you can put it in the chat. I do not see an answer, fam. What is, can anybody tell me who is the father of the East Indians? Is it Shem, Ham, or Japheth? That is the answer we're looking for right now. The father of the East Indian people, is it Shem, Ham, or Japheth? Shem, Ham, or Japheth? Who is the East Indian nation? We're gonna have, I'm sorry guys, you're gonna probably have to have a really ugly camera stand in here, but we have to get this broadcast going on TikTok as well, because a lot of people come over from TikTok, fam. A lot of these newbies. And so welcome TikTok people. Shalom, shalom. I haven't even advertised this on TikTok. So let's get those likes up. We got 26 people in here. Let's get 26 likes. I have to work on marketing and advertising, fam, because, and I'm going to go over Ham this week. I'm going to go over Ham. User 144. In part, a little bit. They're kind of a mixed multitude, but primarily, somebody give me the answer, because I know you guys know. I know you guys know what the answer is. I know you know. If you know, you know. That's such a funny saying. All right, 23 likes, 27 viewers. Just help us get up there. Family, you know who the East Indians are. Let's get the name of their father in the chat. Let's get the name of the father of the East Indians in the chat. Unfortunately, family, nobody's given the right answer so far. So in our last discussion, and we're going to go into it now, I'm just going to have to bring out this Word document that I can't edit or anything. And it's got all my info in it because I got, like I said, my computer is hacked. No matter what I seem to do, they're in it. So they're in it, they're on it, and it's a mess. So let's see here. All right, so I'm going to do a little bit of screen sharing here. And you're going to see, they will not allow me to edit my documents just after I created all this. So, all right. All right, so I'm going to share this. What else? Google Chrome. I got to be able to share multiple items. Okay, start the share. So what we're going to start with is, let's start with the lesson. All right. So Russia's income, most recent report of GDP is, their income is increased by $500 billion. So, and this is due to sanctions, okay? The world imagined that Russia would get weakened by sanctions. However, it has strengthened them. All right. So they went from 353 billion for their billionaires to now 505 billion. Like I said, the gold standard is going to be what BRICS is based on. All right. And so these are the things that are making Russia the richest. Okay. It's from selling their commodities like oil, metals, minerals, natural resources, okay, which have become very expensive since the war. And the sanctions led to shortages, so prices went up. And so the Russian oligarchs milked this crisis, okay? And they become very rich. However, there's a lot of money being poured into Russia. So everybody is benefiting. They've made their money on snacks, supermarkets, pharmaceuticals, okay? And yeah. So the West slapped over 11,000 sanctions on Russia, okay, in 1 year. They've frozen 300 billion of Russia's fallen reserves. But has it really helped? No, it's actually benefited Russia. All right, so we're about to go into this money. All right, and I can't edit this document because, like I said, I'm locked out of and are you guys seeing this? No, you're not. All right, why are you guys seeing that? I have to stop the share. Ooh, they don't even want you to see this. This is crazy. This is really, they don't want you to see this, family. Okay. I can't even do multiple screen share. Like I'm selecting a document and prioritizing it, but instead you're seeing my live. They always drag my live too. So just let me know if you can see this, family. Let me know if you can see this. I'm going to turn my camera back on so at least you can see me. There we go. I can see it now. Okay, and it's not always them, you know me, I have my tech issues, so I can't give them that much power. All right, so family, all right, this is how much the billionaires have gone up since 2022 in Russia. Okay, this is what I've gotten off of, just online and stuff. All right, so let's get into this. We're going to show you the evidence. Sorry, family, this might be a little slow because I cannot do multi-screen sharing for some reason. Let's try it. All right. So now we're here looking at all right. I think I might just so this is what I was talking about before. Okay, so new weapons from China and Russia, this is in 2012, were fueling the conflict in Darfur. No End to Violence in Darfur documents how China, Russia, and Belarus, okay, continue to supply weapons and munitions to the Sudan, despite compelling evidence that arms will be used against civilians. Really, they were used against the Hebrew Israelites. And it's the two Arab nations that have been given these weapons, okay? So we saw all these movies about Joseph Kony and the child soldiers and all of that kind of thing. All right, so Russia and China are selling arms to the government of Sudan. So this is in 2012, 2011, all the way to around 2004 was when I started seeing these documentaries, actually when I was in LA. Okay, in 2000, 2004, 2003 on Darfur and the whole Darfur crisis. What it was about China and Russia building a stronghold there. Okay, and the Sudan is one of the top gold producers. All right. It says 10th largest gold producer according to that, but other reports 18 tons of gold in 2022. All right. But other reports are saying the third largest. All right. The reports I saw said the third largest. All right. So, but this is how, so, the UN was considering sanctions and all kinds of things. My last video, we talked about all of the things that the UN was doing. Please stay with me, family. I'm going to move very slowly because I have to lay this in slowly. All right. So a lot of information I'm going to go through. So you've got to be patient. You can't just run in and run out looking for the quick fix. All right. So the SAF is what is saying arms supplied to the government of Sudan are used in Darfur both directly by the Sudan armed forces and government-backed militia, including Popular Defense Force. So PDF, that's so funny. So these are the ones who they're financing. All right. So this is all the way back to 2003. They built their firm foundation, in particular in the South. Okay. And we look, seek Esdras, like Esdras Alba, right? Notice how he starred in the child soldier stories because he is an Edomite, Black Edom. All right. So Russia, you guys seeing this? Russia is smuggling gold from Sudan to fund the war, says a CNN report. All right. Now, this is not the first time we're going to see or hear about this. Okay. Sudanese military leaders are colluding to plunder the African nation's gold reserves and productions, enabling Moscow to fund its ongoing war in Ukraine. According to CNN's sources, Russia allegedly operated 6 flights out of the Sudan, Africa's third largest producer of precious metals. So here it is, over the past 18 months. CNN claimed a whistleblower. This is why you see them evacuating everybody out of that area, evacuating the French, evacuating the East Indian people, which were comprised about 3,000 people in the population, in high-level jobs, like in government jobs. They also helped set up, I mean, it's just insane the amount of control the East Indians have in Darfur over government. It's crazy. So they're all being piloted out of there by the French and by the Americans. So there's an alliance between the French and the Americans and the East Indians and the UN all together. They're lining up there. Now, as I said before, the East Indians are playing both sides, okay? They have to just see how things shape up. And the reason why I asked you who is the father of the East Indians, the father of the East Indians family is Ham. The East Indians are Kemet. Some of them are the Medo-Persians, okay? But they are the Hamites. They are Egypt. All right, we went into that with the previous two videos. And so we're going to see a little bit of that from some of the TikTok videos I've done, which I'm going to go through after this. But anyway, so Africa's largest producer of precious metal, third largest. CNN claimed a whistleblower from inside the Sudanese central bank showed reporters a photo of a spreadsheet revealing that 32 tons was unaccounted for in 2021. Using the current prices, this amounts to 1.9 billion worth of missing gold to $60 million a ton. That's $60 million a ton. Now they're sending out tons of this gold, all right? And they have this whole Russian doll scheme. Now, of course, family, we know that the news could lie. However, it makes sense, okay? Because biblically, prophetically, the economy in Africa will have to be returning to the gold standard. All right, it says officials quoted CNN's claim that Russia actively supported the 2021 military coup, which disposed their transitional civilian government. Now, you know that that's always the game that is played by the French and the Americans. They want to set up their government. They say it's democracy. Whatever government is for the people is not democracy, right? And that's the game they play. So this is a competition between Russia and China versus the EU and America, right? And so they're just each trying to set up their own government to control those assets, right? The scramble for Africa. All right. So that's all that is. And so it seems like Russia's winning. And that's why everyone's airlifting out of there. Because Chad's sitting right on their behinds, right? Remember, I told you that Chad seized all these assets, right? Sudan, Chad seized all the assets of imperial oil. All right, so the government is seizing all of these Western assets. Okay, so now you're going to have military push from here, and you're going to have military push through Djibouti, right? And they're losing the Democratic Republic of Congo and the Central African Republic. So you see, this is why these people would all have to start getting out of the Sudan. Okay, they would have to remove diplomats, they would have to remove people. That's what they're doing, because these areas are now starting to push them out, push the West out, okay, because they're seizing control of Africa again, all right, with the help of the United States and Russia. All right, let's go back to the article. So, I want you to see how they're doing it. So they always bring up, oh, human rights aren't being, you know, their usual game they're playing. They're just trying to get money. And they're just trying to, so Russia is plundering gold in the Ukraine. Here we have the story again. And here is the story. I kind of call it the Russian doll story. They're saying the manifest was saying that it was loaded with cookie. Sudan rarely, if ever, exports cookies, okay? And they feared that inspecting the plane would vex the country's increasingly pro-Russian military leadership. Multiple previous attempts to intercept. Who's intercepting? Why are you intercepting what the cargo moving in and out of the Sudan if you're not trying to control the country, right? You're trying to control the country. Clearly, you think you can meddle in their affairs, and by meddling in them, you would vex them. Of course you would, because you're not supposed to, right? You're out of line. Okay, so multiple previous attempts to intercept suspicious Russian carriers had been stopped. Okay, all right, so they're smelling something's going on. Ultimately, however, officials, who are these officials? Okay, who are these officials? We don't know. Okay, inside the hold, colorful boxes of cookies stretched out before them. Now, this could be a whole myth, but it makes sense to me with the gold standard, right? And the amount of money stability Russia has, right? And the blessing on Russia. Just beneath, okay, colorful boxes of cookies were wooden crates of Sudan's most precious resource, gold, roughly 1 ton of it. This incident in February. Okay, now February is when they moved military troops into Kenya, remember? And February was when Russia got clearance to set up its naval bases in Djibouti, opposite, in the Red Sea, near the Pig Canal, the Suez Canal, right? The open door. I keep going on about the open door. All right. So recounted by multiple official Sudanese sources to CNN is one of the at least 16 known Russian gold smuggling flights out of Sudan, Africa's 3rd largest producer of the precious metal, over the last year and a half. So what was in here? Sudan's most precious resource, gold, roughly 1 ton of it. So that's one shipment, 1 ton. Each shipment is what, 60 million. This is going to be billions of dollars. Okay. Who knows what this is? I'm not even going to play it. So Russia, the evidence suggests Russia has colluded with Sudan's beleaguered military leadership, enabling billions of dollars in gold to bypass the Sudanese state and deprive the poverty-stricken country of hundreds of millions of state revenue. So they've got all that gold, and they've had it this whole time, the 3rd largest producer. Now that gold is going to Russia, it's a problem. They're calling, so they've had more influence in the Sudan, right? The West. But it's a starving, poverty-stricken country. It's a starving, poverty-stricken country because both the right wing, the East and the West, everybody's draining it. So they're daring to be high and moral and mighty here, saying, "Oh, you're not even giving the money to people." Were you giving it to them? No, nobody was. Not at any point in time here. So here it talks about all these smuggling flights, this, that, and the third. Okay. So this is where Russia is getting their money, according to this report. Now we know also, and I always show this video, where the Pope is kissing the feet of the Sudanese. Now Russia is very close to the Pope. What I show you in my cover image for this video is Putin with the flag. Putin with the flag. Family, we've only got 35 viewers. Please hit that like button. 35 viewers. 35 viewers. Please hit that like button, because we are seriously shadow banned on this one because of the content again. Please put the thumbs up, fam. I'm going to put the thumbs up in there. It's going to slow down the whole process, but I have to do it because we got to get those thumbs up. Thumbs up, family, thumbs up. You know what? They have auto setting in here for black thumbs down. Aren't they wicked? They're just so wicked, aren't they? So, and moderators, like, share, and subscribe. Like, share, and subscribe. And I haven't even shared this on TikTok, so I'm going to take some time to do that because we need to get more people in here. And so please, fam, be patient. We have a long way to go, a very long way to go. So lots of information to share and convey today. So I encourage you guys to share. Share, 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 share. Share, 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 like and share. All right, let's see. Let's keep it going here. Oh. All right, just be patient, fam. Just be patient. All right, so let's keep it moving. So remember the Pope kissing all these Sudanese, the feet of all these Sudanese cardinals, right? Now, a lot of these Sudanese, like I said, are black Shemites, all right, when we see the very heavy woolly hair. But you'll also see a lot of Sudanese who look very Somalian. So they're mixed kind of with East Indian. So we're looking at Chaldeans. Some of these are Yasharel. Many of these are Shemites, black Shemites. And then also there's a mix of, like, for example, the East Indian with, or Hamitic with the Shemitic. And so these are the types of people we see there. I'm showing you this image because the Pope and the Catholic Church are now very closely and heavily aligned with Russia. And of course, Russia's flags are now the same color as the United States of America's, red, white, and blue. And of course, they have the two eagles, which you see in the thumbnail for this video, okay? So they've got the two eagles on their flag. So you see there's this power shift taking place, right? They've got the two eagles. And they've got the same colors in their flag. All right. Let me just share that with you. I think everyone can see it over on TikTok. I'm going to share with you guys though. All right. So there's two eagles and it's like a red and a kind of silver, white, and blue. Okay. So it's still the eagle vision. These are what is described in scripture is that the head of the final eagle will be bitten off. So that's Britain and America. All right. The eagle in the eagle vision will lose its head. Okay. So that's when Babylon falls, and two wings will remain. And the two wings will be China and Russia, and they will have a very tumultuous rule. The two wings will be China and Russia. Oh, you guys can't see that over on, there we go. The two wings will be China and Russia, and they will have a very tumultuous rule at the end because the West will have fallen. So they will never rule again. The West will never rule again. And these two wings, China and Russia, are going to be the last nail in the coffin because they're a self-defeating empire. So they will defeat their own empire. Okay. All right. So, but yeah, you can see all the billionaires now in that video. And so this is why there's all of these flights and they're pulling out of the Sudan. And we see even the Pope aligning with the Sudan. That's a big deal. Now, we also know that I'm going to share more information with you, that I want to talk about the fact that the Bandung Conference, the Asian African Conference, occurred around 1955. It was when the Clintons got in that they started giving all the money to China to begin manufacturing. And so it was in the 70s, late 60s that you began to hear made in Japan, made in China, because all that US Treasury money was funneled over to Asia to start manufacturing. Okay. And of course, those are the Canaanites. All right. And I'm going to tell you why I'm getting into this in a second. So I guess I'll just stop this share for the moment. I'm going to go back to my teaching document. And we'll just get this in order. Now, as I said, we have the Sudan is funding Russia, and the future gold standard, which will be the standard for Yasharel, for the continent of Africa, which is what it always was in scripture. Okay, so they're going to have a part in returning, not using fiat currency based on, oil or based on nothing, but Africa itself will be returning to a gold standard. Okay. Now, all the IMF controls South African money. So part of BRICS is South Africa, India, Brazil, and, possibly the West Indies and other nations have been invited in, but the main ones are China and Russia. So China, Russia, India, I think Iran, I think that Arabia was contemplating joining it. Okay. Talking about joining it. And Brazil and South Africa. Now, South Africa is supported by the IMF banks. I've already talked to you guys about that. Okay. And they are withholding billions of dollars from the Black South Africans. The corporations aren't even releasing it. And they're still having all these rolling blackouts and everything and controlling their power. Also, something else that is happening is that Australia is seeking military support from both China and India, and they're also forming a relationship with China, okay? Because of, that's basically the land of Ham. I know other people don't necessarily believe this, but when we look at the Book of Jubilees, it's very clear that Southeast Asia, what is China, and America are all the land of Ham, okay? And so with Australia down there and China quickly moving into those areas to claim ownership of all of those islands, then Australia has to side with them. Australia absolutely has to side with China. And they're also forming alliances with India, okay? And so India's military spending power, let's just take a look at that. Like I already said, we already talked about how those people are being airlifted out. Okay, so we're just going to go over India being Egypt again. So please watch my videos. They're right on the landing page of my webpage, is the lands of Shem, Ham, and Japheth. I always have people on TikTok, prove it. And I'm like, okay, I have 15 hours of videos on it on my landing page, on my YouTube page that you can watch. So fam, it's really, really a good idea to watch those videos. You don't even have to read the book because I read to you, but it's so important to watch them to understand what is going on. So something I'm going to return to here is who Egypt is, and that is the East Indians. They have some of Japheth among them and the Midianites, all right? But they are Ham, okay? And I go over that ad nauseum. Really, I've done 4 videos on it, 4 videos on the land of Ham and who Ham is. Okay, I'm not meaning to chastise you guys about this, but you really should know that the East Indians are Ham, okay? Because they're the ones who stole your identity. I know everyone out there is like, no, you're Egypt. This is all the confusion we're going to go into right now. We're going to talk about the difference between the Shemites versus Israel, so the Shemite Chaldeans versus Israel versus the Egyptians, and the banishment of the Egyptians from their own land, and this interim 70-year rule of the Canaanites in the land. So we know the Queen of England is Khan, right? We know that Khan, it was actually like the Danish, he was blonde. Khan was blonde, okay? That is the Amorites, the Amoriteans. That is the Danes, the Danish people, okay? We're talking about the white blonde Danes. Shalom, Paul Sticks. Shalom, Sharia. Shalom, fam. So The Amorites are the blonde Danish people. They are Canaanites. The French, I believe, are also Canaanites. They're parasites. Okay? They are parasites. And so the Queen of England, who is Khan, okay, has been ruling the world for the last 70 years. I want you to think about this, family. Egypt was banished and removed from North America. Remember in my videos on Ham and on Babylon, the New World, they hid it for about 500 years, okay? Plato, all of these intellectuals, Greek intellectuals, hid the West for about 500 years, so that when it was discovered, it was a new world. Okay, this is all in those videos. I'm not pulling that up again. You guys go watch the videos. And so when they removed, they cut off the West from the rest of the world, that was in the dark ages of the Gentiles rising. So they would be ignorant. Because what? They're in the dark ages. They were uneducated. They couldn't read. They couldn't write. When they took over Europe, Britain, and everything, they would literally have the slaves. They would poo in pots for the slaves and have them dump it out into the waterways of the streets in Britain. And then it started getting so polluted and so much disease because they were so uneducated. They didn't wash. All of these things were taught to them by the Hebrews. Okay. So you could do that to them. You could say, oh, there's no such thing as any land beyond the sea, beyond the Western Sea, the Atlantic. The whole world is just Russia and Africa, no other place. So they literally hid the West in time for Babylon to be set up in its place and discovered as a new, quote, virgin world where nobody was. And they hid all the pyramids under mounds. Okay. They called Egypt the Grand Canyon. They did all of this hiding, okay, of the West. So let's get into this, the genealogy of the East Indians, okay? Family, we've only got 46 people in here, and we've only got 10 people. So this is like really, it's not hard to hear. Thank you, sister. Wow. And shalom, fam. Can you guys hear me? It says it's not hard to hear. Can you guys hear me okay? I don't know what that means. It's not hard to hear. It's not hard to understand, do you mean? Arnold Johnson, shalom. I'm not sure what that means. I hope you guys can hear me. Put a 1 in the chat if you can hear me, because I need to know that you guys can hear me. Can't have an echo in here. I'm going to check because you're on a delay. All right. Guys, I'm just going to have to check out the sound. Okay, so it seems like you can hear me. All right, thanks for the 1 in the chat, family. Okay, I know you can hear me. All right, yeah, there's a slight delay. Thank you. Okay, so let's keep it going and keep those likes and shares, family. Keep those likes and shares going. All right, and thank you everybody on TikTok. Shalom, shalom, shalom. What's the name of my same name as my TikTok, Into All Truth. So you can go over there. It'll be a lot easier to see. All right. So let's look at this genealogy of Mitzrayim. Okay. We're going to look at the genealogy of Mitzrayim. All right, so I think I got to find that. That's on a different slide. And like I said, family, I'm taking my time. I'm usually very energetic, but I'm finding since I fasted, I'm making some mistakes. I make mistakes when I'm fasting. So I have to be really careful. Or when I come in or out of it, depending on how intense it is. All right, so I got to separate this for myself. So, and I'm going to show you the Russian flag again, because I did have it up here. I'm just going to do a share so you can see it. All right, so what are we seeing here? This is Chrome, this is Safari. All right, so here is the Russian flag, and you can see it has a two-headed eagle on it, and you see it's red, white, and blue. All right, this is the flag of the Soviet Union, but Russia is ruling the world, so it's red, white, and blue. It's got the two eagles, two-headed eagle. All right, so same thing is going on. All right. There's Darfur. And I think what I'm going to do is I'm just going to click this because I can't find it. And I tend to get a little nervous when I'm on here. So, all right, so let's get these genealogies out. So here's the genealogy of Ham. Now, Ham is Kemet. So all of Egypt was Kemet. All right, Kemet, like chemistry, Ham's tree. Okay, Ham's tree, consisting of Mitzrayim. Cush is who Nimrod came out of, but Sheba and Dedan, Havilah, Ramah. All right, and Sabta and Sabtaka. But their best seed was Sheba and Dedan, okay, coming from Cush. The bad seed was Nimrod. And then Mitzrayim had a lot of bad seed. And we see here Ananim. So that's referring to Anunnaki. And the word you'll see Nani, Annie. That usually Anani or Anan is always referring to Anansi, spider, Anunnaki, fallen angels, Nephilim, Naphtuhim. Okay, Ludim. So Mitzrayim is another word for Egypt. All right. And there's Put. Put is connected to Buddhism, Puttism. All right. So this is the connection to the East Indian people. All right. And I'm going to just show you some little TikTok videos to get you into that context. Okay. So you can understand that. And so here we have, again, we have Noah, Ham with Cush, having Nimrod, Sheba, and Dedan. All right. And then we have Mitzrayim with the same loading. And then we have Canaan with the Archites. All right. The Girgashites, the Amorites, the Jebusites, and Sinites. So when you're talking about sin is associated with China, with Sin, Sanini, Sin, the Babylonian god Sin, Sanini, is associated with Sino, the Canaanites, okay? And Anin or Nanin or Nani is associated with the Anunnaki, okay? So Sin of the Anunnaki. So when you see people calling their god, what it is, it's always the Shemites, the Babylonian Shemites calling their Babylonian god Sanini Nanini, you're referring to the Sinite or the Sin, the god of sin, which is the Babylonian god, which depends wholly and entirely upon sinning to lead you captive to their Anunnaki, to their fallen angel seed, Nani. Okay, which is associated with Anansi, the trickster, who is a 8-legged spider. All of these are satanic symbols. Okay, and you can already go back to my video on the Arabs that I posted last week, and you will see the book and readings from the book that create all of those correlations. So just because somebody with black skin walks up to you from Africa and says that they're your brother doesn't mean that you should just believe what they're teaching you. It's not culture first, it's scripture first. Scripture always supersedes culture. The culture should echo the scripture. And so we know in the scripture that the Shemites were always serving Nimrod and Egypt. All right. That's why the Magi were called magicians, magic people, magicians. The Shemites, Terah, the father of Abraham, was serving Nimrod as an idol maker. He created idols for Nimrod. Okay, and remember, because according to the book of Jasher, because Abraham destroyed his idols, and he literally had to allow Nimrod to kill one of his children because he's born under a sign, saying that Abraham's offspring would kill Nimrod, which was Edom, Esau killed Nimrod. And so his magicians warned him that this offspring coming from Terah, his offspring by extension, would kill Nimrod and take his kingdom. That would be Esau, Edom, who kills Nimrod and takes his kingdom. So this was a prophecy given. So what Terah had to do was give one of his servants' children to be killed in the place of, this is all in the book of Jasher, in the place of Abraham. Abraham then was raised with Shem and Noah and studied the books and sought Yah, and the language of creation, Hebrew, was returned to him. And so he knew Yah and was given the favor by Yah. And when he returned to live with his father, he destroyed his father's idols. And you know, his father loved those idols so much that he totally forgot that he had hidden Abraham from Nimrod and sent him to Nimrod to be obviously killed. And Nimrod was like, wait a minute, isn't this your son that I was supposed to have killed 30 years ago, 40 years ago? And he was like, yeah. But he loved those idols more than he loved his son. And he loved Nimrod more than he loved his son. Because he knew what he would do. He would kill him for destroying the idols. But he lost his mind so much. And can you believe it, Israel, that this is why it says, if anybody loves mother, father, brother, sister, father, son more than me, they're not worthy of my kingdom. Because you see, Terah loved those idols and Nimrod more than his own son, Abraham. And Yah expects that kind of devotion. So Nimrod, you know, they went through this whole trial and everything, passing through the fire. Abraham was, cleared because his God was stronger, right? The true Elohim, Aluha, Yahuwah. So, but all of this to show you that the Shemites were fully submitted to Nimrod. And that's why the Assyrians are Shemites, the Assyrian captivity. The Assyrians took the 10 tribes captive back to Egypt because the Assyrians, the Chaldeans, the Shemites serve Satan in Egypt. Okay. The Chaldeans, Nebuchadnezzar was the king of Babylon. He was a Shemite. Okay. This is the Shemites. These are all the sons of Shem, out of whom the line Israel comes out of through Terah. Okay. And so it's important in this time to understand that you're enemies of your own household. It's not just Esau, Edom. It's not just the sons and daughters of Keturah and Abraham. And it's not Ishmael, just Ishmael. It is the Shemites as well, because they serve Egypt and Babylon as they have for over 3,000 years. That's how faithful they are. Why am I talking about this? I am talking about this, family, because I'm trying to show you the connection with the East Indians and what's happening right now, because they are the sons of Ham. Okay? So the prophecy for Egypt is that Egypt would never rise again. That's what happened when Israel left Egypt. That was the prophecy given. So if Egypt, if Mitzrayim was ruling in the Grand Canyon in America, okay, and I'm going to give you way more proofs of this, which are all in the approximately 12 hours of videos on the land of Ham and their identity. But I'm giving you even more proof here, okay? So I encourage you, family, to please watch those videos. I know I just sound so harsh. I just don't know how to emphasize this more and more. I don't, other than repeating and being like, oh, it's a videos, fam. Okay, so Mitzrayim is Egypt. All right? Mitzrayim is Egypt. All right, and the prophecy was Egypt would never rise again. All right. So here's a little bit of that evidence according to scripture. The scripture says, and let me just share it with you guys. I know they're seeing it on TikTok. I have to just hit share. Oh my gosh, I should be recording this. I keep forgetting. I just got so caught up in all of this. All right, let's see. Let me share this. So this is my document I can't access really. So Egypt was scattered by Nebuchadnezzar. What does the scripture say? As it was in the beginning, so it shall be in the end. As it happened before, so it'll happen again. Okay, these are repeating cycles that seem to expand in their time, the length of time in which they're being executed. Okay, so thou shalt fall upon the open field, and thou shalt not be brought together nor gathered. I have given thee for meat to the beasts of the field and the fowls of heaven. Isn't that the prophecy to Israel? That is also the prophecy to Egypt at the time of Nebuchadnezzar. So Egypt, the Egyptians were scattered. Okay? They were scattered. Let me show you this. I'm just going to show you a couple of things. So I'm going to give you some African Americans. I would say they're Shemites, or they're 10 tribes mixed in with some of the original Egyptian possibly. But I'm going to just show you one of their videos where they're talking about, where are they? The sign for Egypt. Okay, so the West is symbolized by the setting sun, the Kuf. Okay, listen to these guys, and they're using this Queen Mu book, which I've shown you before. This is their symbol. It's the same. It's the symbol of the setting sun, the symbol for the West. Okay, also they have it represented as a serpent, where the sun gets eaten by this kind of serpent image.
In Egypt said when they were asked who their ancestors were, they pointed to where the sun was setting. They didn't say, oh, in the west. They didn't say that. They didn't say in the west. They said they pointed to where the sun was setting. So you couldn't get it confused. So you didn't hear me say in the west. They didn't say no west. They pointed to where the sun set it. And that means here. And they meant at land. The lands, and in these shapes, it shows the sun setting in the basin. Yeah, buddy.
Okay, so that's Atlantis, which America and the lands beyond the gates of Gibraltar are known as Atlantis. Okay, so that's the Americas.
All that Africa, all that blackity black, don't talk back, all that.
Okay, so these guys are saying some foolish things too, but I just thought I would add that. Those are some Chaldeans or some 10 tribes. So there's some Shemites or some 10 tribes who are saying that, okay? 10 tribes are also mixed in, and they also kind of fall for that. All right, so back to this. So this is the prophecy, Egypt scattered and banished. And I've already gone over this, but I'm going to go over it again. Ezekiel 29. The Egyptians are overcome by the Chaldeans and Assyrians and 10 tribes, Edom and Judah. So what I'm saying to you is that the Assyrian captivity was first. The Assyrians took the 10 tribes over to America, to the Americas, because the Assyrians are ruling in South and Central America. All right. Next, what happens is there's the Greek captivity, which brings the 10 tribes, again, more of the scattered tribes, and Judah over in the Greek captivity to North America. Okay. And they go back after the captivity, but some of them don't. Okay. And then we also have Esau, Edom taking captive Israel. Okay. And of course, we know the Greeks included Alexander the Greek, who was a descendant of Edom. All right. And then we also have the final captivities of the Black Europeans and the Black West Africans coming over from about, gosh, I don't know where to start it, maybe like about 900 to 1492, it was the beginning. All right, of those captivities into the 1600s. And so they were brought over to the West to build the West as indentured servants, which then degraded into chattel slavery. Okay. And the chattel slavery began when the Canaanites were able to take over, right? So if you have, I'm going to go into this. Yet says Yahuwah Elohim, at the end of 40 years, I will gather the Egyptians. So they were scattered from the people, whether they were scattered, and I will bring again the captivity of Egypt and cause them to return to the land of Pathros, into the land of their habitation, and they shall be there a base kingdom. It shall be the basest of kingdoms, neither shall it exalt itself any more above the nations, for I will diminish them, that they shall no longer rule over the nations. So how are you going to build Babylon with these Egyptians who are cursed to be a base nation? You're going to have to remove them. If he scattered them once, he's going to scatter them again. Okay? I will make the land of Egypt desolate in the midst of the countries that are desolate, and her cities among the cities that are laid waste shall be desolate 40 years, and I will scatter the Egyptians among the nations and disperse them through the countries. Okay, I'm just repeating the same scriptures over and over. Okay. But at the end of 40 years, he will bring the Egyptians home again. Could the 440 years have expanded now in this iteration of their scattering to 400 years? Because we are seeing there are many East Indians coming back to America, and Somalians, those people who are mixed with East Indian, like the Somalians who are like Canaanites, as well as mixed with East Indian. All right. Daughter of Egypt shall be confounded. She shall be delivered into the hand of the people of the north. Were they delivered into the hand of the people of the north? Yes, they were delivered into the hands of the Russians and the Britons over there in what we call India today. But they were scattered over there. They were displaced over there. Even the king of Babylon, Jeremiah. Okay, so Nebuchadnezzar scattered the Egyptians over into the land of Shem, into India, what we call today. So the Assyrians took the 10 tribes captive and took them over to North America, and Nebuchadnezzar took captive the Egyptians and took them over to the Shemitic land of India. Okay, Jeremiah 46:26, and I will deliver them into the hands of those who seek their lives. This is the Egyptians. Okay. Behold, I'm going to skip back here into verse 25. The Lord of hosts, Elohim of Israel, says, behold, I will punish the multitude of No and Pharaoh and Egypt with their gods and their kings, even Pharaoh and all them that trust in him. And I will deliver them into the hands of those who seek their lives, into the hand of Nebuchadnezzar, the king of Babylon, and into the hand of his servants. And afterwards it shall be inhabited as in the days of old. So in some ancient future, as in the days of old, the Egyptians will return to their land, but they're not in it. Why? Because you can't build Babylon with a people who are condemned to never rise again. Can you? So they were removed. And when you look at the Indian slave trade and the Asian slave trade that were happening in concert with the Arab slave trade, they were displacing everybody, moving all the Canaanites over here and removing the Indians from here, the East Indians, and transporting them, scattering. So not only did that happen at the time of Nebuchadnezzar, but it also happened during the time of the rules of the Hun. The Hun also began to rule over them. Okay, Canaanites. All right, Canaanites ruled over them. Are you understanding what I'm saying, fam? Can you guys see this okay? I feel like you guys can't see it very well on TikTok. I want to, does that help? Oh yeah. Oh, I didn't know I could zoom in like this on TikTok, fam. Sorry, I didn't do that before. I just learned. All right, so that's good. So I will deliver them into the hands of those that seek their life, into the hand of Nebuchadnezzar, the king of Babylon, and into the hands of his servants. And afterwards it shall be inhabited as in the days of old. That means richly inhabited by the indigenous people, the indigenous Egyptians, okay? That isn't happening, family. That hasn't happened yet. The true Egyptians are not here. North America is inhabited by Canaanites and Greeks and Romans. The true Egyptians have not returned. Why? Because they are cursed to never rise again. Has India ever risen again? No, it has not. It has not. Okay? We're about to go into the Chaldeans here, but I just want to make sure I don't miss anything. So let's talk about how we know more about this. All right. So Queen Mu and the Egyptian Sphinx. This is a book that I have. And so here's just a little excerpt from it to just reinforce who these Hindu people are. Hinterland people are. Even today, the Aborigines of Yucatan, Petén, and other countries in Central America where the Maya language is spoken as if in obedience to this affirmation of the Hindu legislature. The Manes accept with pleasure that which is offered to them in the clearings of the forest. What? Jezebel set up a grove of worship, Bohemian Grove, offerings to Molech. Localities naturally pure on riverbanks and in secluded places. All right. Are wont at the beginning of November to hang from the branches of certain trees in the clearings of the forest at the crossroads in isolated nooks, cakes made of the best corn and meat they can procure. These are for the souls of the departed. So these are their grove of Molech worship rituals. All right, as if in obedience to this affirmation of the Hindu legislature. So the Hindus of the Hinter place rule in Egypt. Maya, the Maya language is here in the West. Okay, the largest pyramids are in the West. So in Ezra 1340, it says that there will be a second return, and I think this is possibly of the 10 tribes, from the land of Eretz Azarath, the land of what? The stranger. The land of the stranger. The last and hintermost place. So the scripture, they went to another country, that is what it says in English, but in Hebrew, it's another world. Esau is the end of the world of the Hebrews, and Jacob is the beginning of the world that follows it. The Hebrews are a world unto themselves. So this is another world. This is the new world and the old world. All right. It means vanishing point, time out of mind, the final destination of judgment. Okay. So this is where the final place of judgment, the final captivity, Eretz Azarath, okay? Where this in Ezra, second Esdras 1340, where it talks about this group of people return from there when they're repatriated back to the promised land. They return from Eretz Azarath, okay? From this hinterland, this final resting place, this final vanishing point, the place where you are out of your mind, lose your identity, and vanish. The place of the what? Strong's H312, stranger. The place of the last end posterity, hintermost reward. Okay? All right. Another world. All right. And so we also have the Chaldeans are connected to this. And Chaldea shall be a spoil, and her spoil shall be satisfied, saith Yahuwah, because they were glad and rejoiced, destroyers of mine heritage, because you were grown fat as a heifer at grass, and bellow as bulls. Okay, bulls are associated with Egypt and the West. Your mother shall be sore confounded, she that bare you shall be ashamed, and behold, the hintermost of nations shall be a wilderness, a dry land in the desert. So the word hintermost in the Hebrew is the same as this, vanishing point, west. This is where the land of the Shemites in the West, South and Central America got dragged over to. Now imagine what's happened is that the true Egyptians are removed because they're cursed to never rise again. So you got to get them out of there. You want Babylon to rise. And so who typically, even among their own people, exceeds and excels? You have the captivity of the 12 tribes. You have the firstborn sons, Shem, who are already serving Babylon for 3,000 years. They're going to overcome the Egyptians and their lands. And now you got the 10 tribes coming in. Well, of course, they're even going to overcome the Shemites because they have the blessing of Israel on them. And you got Esau, Edom coming over there with these various captivities as well as Prester John. Well, he's going to overcome because he's got the blessing of Isaac on him. And you bring in the 12 tribes from 1492 from Europe and West Africa all the way till now. Well, the 12 tribes are going to all 12 tribes are going to overcome everybody because they are blessed with that blessing that is without repentance. And so they come over and they build America with the assistance of the Chaldeans, right? And Esau, Edom. So you got all the Shemites building Babylon, and they can easily overrun and overtake the Egyptian, who is cursed to never rise again. And they can easily push them out into Mexico. They can easily integrate with their tribes, which is what they do everywhere they go. And that's why in America, they were bombed. Black Wall Street was bombed because this is what the Israelites do. They take over. And you can't have those Egyptians there if you're going to build a nation. So then Esau does the handoff to the Canaanites. Why? Because he had 2 Canaanite wives. He's mixed in with them. So they hand off to the Khan, Queen of England, and the Amorites, Danes, and the Amorite British, and they do the handoff to the parasite French Canaanites, and now finally to Sino, China. When? During the Bandung Conference. So we go back to the Bandung Conference. That was when one of the handoffs took place. Let me find it here. I think I'm going to have to do multiple share because it's just kind of disruptive for me I like to flow, family. That's why I kind of make mistakes, because I like to flow. I don't like technical interruptions. I find them very annoying. Like they just kind of bother my flow in the spirit. Like sometimes usually the spirit takes over, and but I found with the fasting, I was making some mistakes. So I have to be careful. I don't want to make error. Yeah, are you guys seeing that? I can't tell because I have 3 options to screen share. But let me see if I can get back to the Bandung conference. All right. So at the Bandung conference, we've got China taking over, Asia African Conference. Okay. And you see the regions it's in, is Sudan and the Horn of Africa, Djibouti, all of that, right? First large-scale Asian African or Afro-Asian conference, also known as Bandung Conference. This is a meeting of Asian and African states, most of which were newly independent, which took place from the 18th to the 24th of April in Bandung, West Java, Indonesia. All right, so that's in the land of Ham. All right, so you take from 1950 or 1955 to 2019, that's the 70-year period of the 70-year rule of the 70 nations in America, of the Gentiles, in particular the Canaanites. All right, and this is when America started feeding with made in Japan, made in China, those treasury dollars to build up the land of Ham. Why? The Canaanites are the same family as the Chinese. The Chinese are Sino. The Amorites, the Danish are Amorites. Okay, the Greeks are Philistines. Okay. And the East Indians are also Kemet and Cush and Put. All right, so now they're getting financed, the family of Ham, because that includes the Queen of England is the family of Ham. Okay, the rule of the Egyptians. These are white and black and yellow Egyptians. They got all colors in the crayon box in there. Of all colors. That's what confuses everybody. Satan just tries to black and white everything. People talk to me and they're like, oh, you know, your dad's white. And so because your dad's white, then, you know, you're a Gentile and blah, blah, blah. No, my father is Yahuwah. That's the seed. That's the seed in Yahusha. And my grandfather anointed me to teach. If it ends up that because I'm not the seed of Israel on one side, that's fine. But I know what I've been called to do, what my grandfather anointed me to do. He didn't even anoint my brother to do it. He anointed me to do it. Okay. I know what I was anointed to do, so I do it, right? But even if it turns out it's something else, but I do have people making this accusation against me, but, you know, in truth, a lot of them are Edomites. There's a particular way the Edomites look. Okay, they have those droopy, sleepy eyes because of their fallen practices. It talks about the priests of Israel, how they're not supposed to have droopy, sleepy eyes. They're not supposed to have bulging eyes or fat pockets under their eyes. This is what you see with a lot of the Edomites. You see that with Esdras Elba. You saw that with, what's his name, who took over the whole British economy, has those same kind of eyes, because of their satanic practices cause that. I'm not going to go into it in this video, but there's a certain way they look. So you have these people saying, oh yeah, you got to be a seed, and what they could be Edomites on their father's seed. You don't know. They're polygamists, a lot of them. A lot of the polygamists are running the polygamous Edomites are running the camps because they're still using those same polygamous practices. And they're wrapping themselves in the mitochondrial DNA of the Yasharalite women. But they still got that male Edomite seed, or they're Shemites, they're black Shemites. So you can talk all you want about, oh yeah, the seed of my father is, well, you just don't know, do you though? You don't. So I guess we're all going to find out in the end. But everyone's a Gentile except Israel. And so we'll find out who true Israel is. And then, you know, whatever Yah says for me to do, I'm going to do. It doesn't matter to me as long as I'm serving him. So, but that was a sidebar. Sorry, family. I'm just like talking about the realities. This is why you have to talk about the Shemites, the black Shemites, the black Edomites. Okay, we're talking about the Canaanites who are white, a lot of them. There are black Canaanites too. We just don't know, fam. We just don't know for sure. All we know is how the spirit moves us. All right. For sure. And some people have done the DNA tests, but. So, okay. So hintermost nations. Where does this word hintermost come from? The word Azarath, okay. So we see Terra Azarath. This is North America. Okay, this is the original map of Canada and North America. And it says Terra Azarath. This is the hintermost place. This is the hintermost land, North America, right? Where Israel is sent off to in 2nd Esdras 13 and 40 returned from. Okay, this is the hintermost place. So the word hintermost in Hebrew is aharat. Aharat. Same word in Sanskrit, aharat. What does it mean in Sanskrit? Well, in Sanskrit, sorry fam about that. In Sanskrit, so this is the Egyptian language. Sanskrit, you will see, is the original East Indian language. It's Sanskrit. The original East Indian language is Sanskrit, which is the original Egyptian language. Coincidence? No. It's the same language. Oh, you guys aren't seeing this, are you? Make sure you guys can see it. All right. So Sanskrit, Ararat, when we look it up, taken away, removed, eradicated, conquered, diminished. These are all the definitions in Sanskrit of this word. Blew away, stolen, simply captivated, collected, offered. Were you not offered here as a human sacrifice? Was Yahusha not offered as a human sacrifice? Are children being trafficked here and offered as human sacrifices? Yes, they are. This is the land of it, where you're diminished, you're conquered, eradicated, removed. People are captive here, taken here as slaves, cut from his body, and then brought back to their original places, Aharat. Interesting. Interesting. So the Egyptians will be brought back here. Also, Mount Ararat was called a similar word, where people were brought back to after being cut off in the flood, right? That's where the ark landed. All right. Old world. Okay. Interesting, right? Interesting. So let's look a little bit more here. All right, so we looked at the Sanskrit, and now we're going to look at the origins of the word hinterland. Okay, hinterland, a region beyond and inland from a port city, etc., etc. German word hinterland. I think it means my previous land back behind me. Back country, also called back country, back home, like back home. So the Germans, again, the Germans are very likely these Canaanites again, the Germanic peoples, okay? And this was their homeland back there, back where the sun sets, okay? That's, you may, if you think that's stretching a little bit, all right? The German word as hinterland supposedly first, George G. Chisholm in Handbook of Commercial Geography translated the German word as hinterland, supposedly first in his 1888 edition, and hinterland also was used in 1881. So now we're talking about 1800s, which is getting closer to the real history, right? By Richard Burton and others to translate the Egyptian hieroglyphic for Syria. Assyrians, Shemites. The land of the Shemites. Why? Because they had pushed up into the land of Egypt, where they took captive the 10 tribes. Egyptian hieroglyphic for Syria. See the tie between Syria and Egypt. Hinterland. Eretz Azaret. Final place, the land in the back, the land of the past, which people will be returned to. Okay. All right, so that's the scattering of the Egyptians I'm talking about, the scattering of the East Indian people. Now I want to show you something else so that we can see this tie-in to the Chaldeans again, to the Black Shemites. because there's black Shemites, black Edomites, black Ishmaelites. People don't know what they are for sure, just except by the Spirit, right? So it'll never exalt itself, the kingdom of the Egyptians. And India has not risen up at all. You're still competing with China. Okay. So 2 Kings 17:24. The king of the Assyria brought men from Babylon and from Kutha or Kata or Chata and from Avah and from Hamath and from Sepharvaim and placed them in the cities of Samaria instead of the children of Israel. And they possessed Samaria and dwelt in the cities thereof. So that Samaria, which is also close to lands there, they also call Assyria. Okay, Assyrians. So these are Assyria brought men from Babylon and from Kutha. All right. So let me see if I can find this for you guys. Now it's like Kata, like Chata. It's not Cathay because Cathay is in China. Okay. Cathay is in China. So it's not Cathay. It's actually, I believe, Chata or Kata. Okay. Let me just see if I can, if I brought these things out. I may just have to click on the link. It may be easier if I just do that. All right. Let me just check one more thing. If you guys just bear with me and you're very patient, I'd appreciate it. Okay, more on the band down conference. Hold on here. Let me just make sure that I can hit Google Chrome, and I need to be able to hit all of these documents so that when I'm choosing one of them, we can jump into it. Right, so that's Safari. Did I keep it over here? Okay, yeah, this is where I have it. Hope you guys can see this. I think I might need to zoom out a little bit so that you guys can see it over on TikTok. All right. So get those likes up, fam. We have 71 people in who are watching right now. And I really have to fight against the wicked. Thank you, Lorraine. Thanks for being here. I have to fight against these spiritual entities that are fighting against this word coming out. Cities of Samaria instead of the children of Israel. And so Chata. Okay, so these are the words for Chata, Kata, Kata. Okay. Kata, province of Assyria. Okay, why can't you guys see this? Kata, province of Assyria. Okay. Country of the Chaldeans. Kata. Why am I saying this? And look at this. The men of Babylon made Sukkot-benoth, and the men of Kata made Negral, and the men of Hamath made Ashima. Interesting. Nergal. Let's look and see what this says. I haven't actually looked at this. I just want to check it out for a second. Why does it do that? Hero. So this is, they were made Kathite deity, Negro. So that's like Nega or Neger. Okay, which is a term they really like, the Chaldeans like to use, and they like to use the Edomites, the Khan. They're always using Khan. They like to use Khan, right? And they like to use Negus. So they're always using it in their curse words and everything. The glory of the excellency of the Chaldeans. Okay. So they like to use that word. It does mean prince and stuff in Hebrew too. All right, let's go right back to this because I just want to show you guys something. And I want you to hear something. So when we go back to this and we look at Chata, all right, it's not Cathay because Cathay is part of China, okay? So that Cathay is part of Canaan, land of Canaan. It's Chata, Kata, so it's Assyrian. We already showed you that, all right? Assyrian. So we have some really interesting words when we look at the, quote, indigenous tribes. Now, I don't think they're indigenous to America. I think they're Shemitic tribes who moved up into America. Like I said, they moved up into America and took over because the Egyptians were banished, because they were cursed to never rise. And so they replaced first with the strongest people in the world, the Shemites, and the 10 tribes, and finally they got the southern kingdom as well, and Esau, Edom, with the blessing of Isaac to build America. All the Shemites to build America, and they banished the Egyptians out, and that's borne out by those Asian slave trades, by the moving of the Indians and the moving of the Chinese into North America, into the lands of Shem, and into the land of India, because the Canaanites didn't get the best land, okay? Cush and Mitzrayim and that, they got the best lands. So they got America and South and the west side of South America. They got the best lands, okay? So they moved them out, all right? They banished them out. And then they allowed the strongest people on the planet, the Shemites, the Edomites, and of course, the 12 tribes of Israel, to build America and take it over and rise above them all when they were just in their blessing of Edom stage and in their not chattel captivity, but in their indentured servant captivity. They could build America, okay? That's why they brought Israel and all the Shemites to build America, all right? There's some really interesting names. So here it is, Wamkata. Wamkata. That's the wa, the mem, then ka, cha, kacha, or chata. Okay? You can pronounce this with a ka or a cha, this het. And the kaf can be with a ka, but you can see how etymologically it can change to a cha as well. All right, just with people changing the pronunciations. All right, so wamchaka or wamchata. And here's the word on its own without. So this is the longer form of the word. This is the shorter form of it, 3 letters. Chata. So this is chata or kata. All right. Chata. So these are the Assyrians. These are Shemites dwelling in South and Central America after the land masses were pulled apart, okay, from Africa, pulled away from the Shemitic land of Africa. They were together before, but Yah said, what? I'll hide your sin as far as the east is from the west. So he separated all those bad Shemites from the Shemites in Africa, who largely, most of Africa is Israel. It only stops being that when you get over into beyond what is called Israel and Arabia. Anything east of that, that's still the land of Shem. So when you get into India and stuff like that, that's still the land of Shem. Or when you get into the Middle East, Iran and stuff, that's still the land of Shem. So the Shemites are over there, and the Shemites are over in South and Central America. Okay, and you see how they're dark-skinned, kinky-haired people. When it happens that Columbus and everyone comes over. It's just all black people there. It's the 10 tribes and the Shemites. They scattered the Egyptians out because they would never rise again. And they needed the strongest and most blessed people on the earth to build Babylon. And Shem was willing to do it because he loves Egypt and Satan like hell. He loves it. And so does Esau Edom. They love Egypt. Okay? That's why it's the glory of the excellency of the Chaldeans that will fall. Okay? All right, so that's the Chata. So now listen to this. And there's another tribe that's called Wampanoag, like Wam Kata, Wampanoag. Okay, so I just want you to listen to how these names are pronounced. Let me just see if I can find the video. Just listen, this is Chief Warhorse speaking. I'm not going to show her video. I'm not going to show her face because she's been doing broadcasts and she doesn't want that. So I'm going to try to respect that. But I just want you to hear her pronounce these names, which sound very similar to this. Okay. So
just down below the 31st parallel where I am today. And the French was here, the Spanish had been here, the British.
Okay, so just listen to her pronounce these names. And I just want to show you, I did want to show you the Edomite. Okay, this is the Edomite here. See how he's got these sleepy eyes and everything. This is a black fading out Edomite, fading into, other nations, right? Trading.
Here, the Spanish had been here, the British had been here, and the Americans had been here. But in 1700s, the latter part, my grandmother and grandfather was in ruling.
So you heard her say Bomfaka, Bomfaka, Wampaka. There's a tribe that's Wampaka. Okay, it's a similar pronunciation. So you can see how the etymology would slip like this. I hope you guys can hear it. I just don't want to show her picture. And I forgot her picture is there. So I'm just trying to respect that, but it might be compromising the sound. I'm not quite sure how to handle this, but it's just important that, oh, don't do that. Don't do that to me. No. Okay, let me try again. Just so, because I want you to hear her pronouncing these words. Okay.
Changing names as they wrote books back to France or Spain. And those books show the changing of the names there, but here people don't see the change. For instance, I'm right now in West Florida, but legally by papers, I'm in Louisiana. Now, when did we make it to Louisiana and never moved, never caught a boat, nothing? Still in the same place we've been for thousands of years, but we end up in a place, it spells B-O-N-F-O-U-C-T-A, Africa. That word historically meant people of the bayou or the residents of the bayou, meaning we lived along the waterways, okay? I still live in that historical village, still have lots of families that's here. But I want to take us back.
So you heard her say Bomfaka, Bomfaka, Wamkata. That's what we're seeing here, Wamkata. There's a tribe, Wampanoag. Okay, so you're seeing the similarity in the words, and Chata and Kata, right? And then these are the Assyrian Shemites, right?
In time before the European. Before the European arrived here, our people were living in what you would call a swamp area of West Florida, okay? Today, people identify us as Louisianians. Well, before there was a West Florida, we were in the Shafunkta or the Shatta region, okay? History proved that once the Shatta was in control from the Gulf of Mexico to the Appalachian Mountain. My grandfather, who raised me, they didn't have internet. So the stories I had was not internet story. It was family history being passed down. And my grandfather would take me outside and he would say we owned at one time everything. Farther than a man's eye could ever see. He said, but they always kept pushing us and pushing us. They tried to push us off the face of the earth, just down below.
Okay, and so we know the Canaanites are also in Brazil and stuff like that, right? But let me show you this, but you hear the pronunciation of that, Bumphaka, Chata, Wampaka. She's using these words. It sounds very similar, okay? And if this is where the 10 tribes were taken captive, as we see, as I show you over and over again, with the tribes who say we're not originally from this land, right? What's his name? Montezuma said that. He was from the 10 tribes, right? So he was captive there. There are 10 tribes captive here. And they have this, like the Shemites, they have this proclivity to move towards Egypt, to move back towards mom, right? Now, I keep saying that Asenath was an Egyptian, but she could have been a Shemite. Because when you listen to the account of Asenath, it says that like Joseph, she didn't like the stranger, and her father was Potipharah, the priest of On. He could have been a Shemitic priest of On, just like Terah was, and she could have been a Shemite. But a Shemite who had, been doing a bit of mixing with the Egyptians, because the Shemites love Egypt. They love being magicians, and it's the glory of the excellency of the Chaldeans. They love their funky music. They love their drugs. They love all that stuff. They love to do the sage and smoke marijuana and, do some of the, what is it? That's ashwagandha or whatever the things that make you do the hallucinations and all that kind of stuff. You listen to these 10 tribes and these Assyrians, these Chaldeans, hey, Chald, that's them. They love Egypt. They will fight you tooth and nail to say they're Egypt because they love it. Glory of the excellency of the Chaldeans. You listen to Chief Warhorse. I've been listening to her, and she's a lovely woman, but she's a Chaldean. She loves America. She wants to save America. She's a Chaldean or 10 tribes, something. Does she love America? She all that has been done to the chocolate folks here. She's been pretty free herself, but still, you can see she's been through some stuff. You listen to her testimony about her life. And she's still going through stuff, and she's still running things. And she loves America. She's a Chaldean. She's 10 tribes at least. They love the Egyptian ways. They love it. They love all their unclean foods. She'll talk all day long about her gumbo and the crab and the shrimp in there. Chaldeans. All right? Chaldeans. Hey, Chaldean, right? All right. So like I said, the Chaldeans, the Egyptians would easily overtake the Egyptians. The Chaldeans and the Shemites and the Edomites. The Chaldeans, who are the Shemites, the Edomites, and especially Israel, would pummel Egypt to death. Just like they did it in West Africa. You listen to the Shemites in West Africa and the Edomites in West Africa, and they will complain about the fact that when the Israelites shifted over to West Africa as they were scattering, they took everything over. And all the Shemites and the Edomites and everything resented them. They all look the same, but one's Israel and one's not. Okay, so that's what Israel does. That's the specialty of Israel. So I want to connect a lot of this back to, we're going to get more into the war and everything in the Sudan and all of that. But what I want to do is connect this all back to the East Indians to, again, provide more evidence that they are Ham. Now, I put up a couple of videos on TikTok. Oh, wait, let me show you these. I almost forgot this. Let me show you these Wampanoag people. And you're going to see they're very mixed. Okay. They're very mixed, very mixed. And they look like a combination of the, of Shem / Israel plus Ham. So here's some of them. These are the Wampanoag. See, look at them. Now think of Kamala Harris, because Kamala Harris is half East Indian, half Black. So think of her face and look at these women. Okay. Chaldeans or 10 tribes or whatever mixed in with Egypt or Hamites. Okay, look at them. Wampanoag tribe. Now, you know, these women have some Black in them, Shemitic blood in them, right? Wampanoag. Okay. Now, when you're talking about Og, you're talking about the giants. So there's the Canaanite stuff in there too, right? These are some chocolate folk. All right, so there they are. So they're trying to restore I guess some other tribes are trying to. This is what they look like. You see, he looks both East Indian and Black, doesn't he? He looks like kind of a mix of them both. This is what they look like. It's a mix. Now you see the white people mixed in with them, but not so much. And this is the word you see, like they conflate a lot of Hebrew Israelite terms with the terms, Hebrew terms. So they say aquina. So aquiline nose, or aki, or akoti, brother, sister, brother of Shem, Aki. Or Shem, Aki and saltfish, right? Ak. So here's the Wampanoag again. See how mixed they are? Now, Chief Warhorse was saying that all the feathers are not, that her people never use the feathers. That's because they're not associated with Shem feathers. The eagle is associated with Egypt. And the phoenix, right? Edom. Let's see if I have anything else for you guys here. And even a lot of these photos, so you see these are all some Negroes, Negro-y people. They're Shemites. You guys got to watch a lot of these old photos. A lot of them are Photoshopped. This is clearly photo. They can do the best Photoshop work. So when you go on certain channels, they got all these old photos. Photoshop. This is some mixed people here again. But you see what they look like, right? Am I making sense, family? See, they got the eagle again. All right, this is what I mean by Photoshop. This is looking so Photoshoppy. These are supposed to be some of the old tribes. Photoshop. Black heads, like Chinese looking heads stuck on body. You see what I mean? Just like all Photoshoppy. Look at that one. That looks so pieced together. So, you know, you got to be careful, especially colorized black and white photos. Those are real, like that looks so contrived. I mean, come on. You know, Really, the black and white ones are they just had a guy who used AI to create an ancient kind of photo like these, and everyone thought that he had actually done a retro real photo, but it was really AI had created this image. So this is Photoshop. You can imagine what AI can do. I think I saw that on Truth Unedited. Go and watch Truth Unedited's video from last week, and he'll show you that photo. Okay, so you can't always trust all these photos. All right. All right, I don't know what I'm looking at here. Yeah, we already went into Hintermost. All right, so let's watch some videos. Because I watched a video and I responded to it, because I think we do need to look for allies in the Egyptians, because there are scriptures, of course, that talk about how both Javan in the form of the ships of Tarshish and Sheba and Dedan will be siding with Israel. And Egypt, you know, it first and foremost, the ones who are going to be siding with Israel above all are going to be the descendants, the sons and daughters of Abraham and Keturah, right? So when it talks about, I've already done that in the videos, I've done the research, gone deep down into the words to see that it's the sons and daughters of Keturah, or sons of Keturah and Abraham, all right, that are really so blessed. But it is still the promise from Yah to Egypt that they will be among the first of the Gentile nations to be accepted by Yah in the new world. Okay. And that's another reason why they would have been banished, was to escape sharing in the sins of Babylon. So they could be returned to their land, right? Repatriated to their land, and to have the favor of Yah, to be among the first nations repatriated into Israel, okay? Integrated into Israel in the new world, in the new era, okay? So that's one of the reasons why they were banished, to escape that judgment, but they're still economically very much attached to America and sharing in her sins, but not to the extent that they possibly could have been. Okay, could have been far worse if they had been here the whole time. And what we're seeing is that we are seeing that the East Indian people are really starting to come back to America. The East Indians, like I said, are going to be manufacturing a lot for America, because America can't trust the Chinese anymore. And so their only other option is to go to the Indians, right? Because they can manufacture a lot of the same software components and everything. So I saw this video, and of course, this is always going to be a bit controversial. And I think this woman does take the stance of being an ally, but she doesn't admit to she does admit to some of the racism presently of East Indians, but she doesn't talk about the privilege and the fact that East Indians have colonized the African diaspora, okay? So that's why I'm showing this. And then I'm going to show you a true ally. So she's kind of halfway there, but she could be a little stronger. So first we hear from this guy who's making his racist comments, right? And of course he hid his channel and it made it so you can't tag him in videos or anything, because I guess he got roasted for this. But here, let's get into it.
Racism against South Asians is normalized to the point where if we speak up about it, it just means we're soft and can't take jokes. I know I speak for all Indians when I say it doesn't hurt us, but it's just so damn annoying when we hear like, shut up. And since my response to that video was, what if I made monkey noises while eating African food?
Crack na కొడుకువి కూడా కాదురా నువ్వు ఒక దొంగ నా కొడుకువి ఎందుకు తెలుసా దా చెప్తా. It does not shock me that that video has over 50,000 likes when anti-Blackness is so rampant within the South Asian community. This is the perfect example of that, because the second a Black person does something ignorant, you have South Asians just frothing at the mouth to say something dehumanizing about Black people. There is a difference between holding a singular person accountable, and you don't need to be fucking racist in order to do that. There's a difference between that and attributing that person's mistake and that person's ignorance to their entire community. I saw it in your video. I saw it in your comment section. You have historically used your platform to create an us versus them narrative where Black people are the enemy. And I have receipts, okay? In November of 2022, a Black man makes a racist joke about Indian girls having mustaches. We've heard this shit time and time again. You duet the video making a joke about watermelon. If you look up brown girl mustache on the TikTok search bar, thousands and thousands and thousands of videos are going to show up, predominantly being made by South Asian men. You don't choose to go after any of them. You choose to duet a Black man. It is telling. Let's discuss the phrase, racism against South Asians is normalized. Whenever you guys have used that statement, it's always tied to some form of anti-Blackness. Whenever that phrase comes about, there's a dialogue, right, where people are saying, how come people take racism against Black people seriously? But when it's South Asians, everything is just a joke. So therefore, racism against South Asians is being normalized. First and foremost, racism is a structure that is embedded in everything. Therefore, it is normalized against all people of color. That's how it works. Secondly, the reason why racism against Black people is being taken more seriously is because Black people are constantly advocating for themselves. Since the 1700s, right, when slavery was going on, up until the present. Meanwhile, South Asians, instead of advocating for themselves in ways that don't harm other communities, we sit here and say racism against South Asians is normalized. And again, when we talk about South Asians being the butt of a joke, it comes as no surprise to me when there are South Asians building platforms on degrading their own community and making fun of themselves. So let's address our own community, advocate for ourselves, instead of going after Black people and starting unnecessary race wars on the internet.
Okay, so she was very much an ally, but I did put comments, where I was like, okay, but remember, you guys have also colonized Black people in Africa, this, that, and the third. She deleted them. So, but I think she definitely is an ally. And I think at this time, we have to find allies in these other nations. And it's the reverse of what she says. She says, don't paint the whole people group with the same brush. But instead, she says, this is just one individual. However, that's not what scripture says. Yah judges the whole nations and tells us to look at people individually. You see what I'm saying? So that's the difference in ideology. Okay, we are to judge people groups, but we look at individuals individually. It's the reverse of what is done in this culture. Sorry, guys, I'm eating a little bit because I'm so hungry. So excuse me, that's why I had the camera off. But anyway, I'm sorry if I'm chewing in your ear. I don't mean to. But anyway, so here's another little video that I did. And just discussing this, and we're gonna go into a lot more stuff here, because it's gonna be, like I said, this is gonna be long. I'm building to a long and a lot of stuff, and I'm gonna take my time, because I just don't give that to myself, and I need to do that. Slow down. All right. So.
Okay. I understand East Indian people want to be allies to the African diaspora, but you can only be an ally if you're willing to admit your history with us. There's a lot of good commentary made in here, but when I posted the realities that the East Indians were actually the original Egyptians, that is who you are the original Egyptians. And you were the first to enslave the African diaspora, and you were removed, according to Jeremiah and Ezekiel, from your true land, which is America. And you were scattered because of it. Now, historically, you have also been allies with us and married in with us. But when I posted that in South America, in the West Indies and Africa, the East Indian people are still colonizing us, my comments were deleted. You have to be a complete ally to be an ally of ours. And you also have to deal with the sin of your people group. I do look at people groups because that's how scripture and our creator Yahuwah judges people is in terms of people groups. He doesn't, we are called to look at people on an individual one-by-one basis, but he is judging people groups in the earth right now, which is why India has a heat wave. But in truth, India is at this point considered Egypt and considered to be an ally of the Shemitic African diaspora, which is who the people of the transatlantic slave trade are. The East Indians were taken captive by Nebuchadnezzar, the Shemitic Black Babylonian king, and removed to what is called India today, but that is part of the land of Shem. It was also called Ethiopia, just as Ethiopia today is called Ethiopia, and South America was also called Ethiopia. This is a place where the Shemitic people and the Hamitic people mixed. So the East Indians are Hamitic people, they're Hamites. That is why California is called California. That is why Butta in India is really Putta. The East Indians are Cushites, the true Cush, which are the true Egyptians. And they are Mitzrahim, they are Ham and Kemet. And so when you look at the Table of Nations, they were also taken captive by the northern people, the Europeans, the white people. The kingdoms of the north took them captive and they mixed in to become the Huns, okay? Also, your brothers and sisters are the Chinese, the Canaanites. Your land is not India. It's like beyond Sri Lanka. It's the South American, or sorry, the islands of Australia, southern China, and the South Pacific Islands, and all of the land on the west side of the South American mountains, okay? But America was your proper land. When you look at ancient historical books, you find that all of these Indian people, East Indian people, were removed. And according to scripture, the prophecy is that you would be removed for 40 years, possibly 400. You would be scattered for having taken our people captive years ago, but you became an ally. And so that, in a sense, is why you were scattered, so that when this extreme judgment came, you wouldn't be judged as harshly as the Gentiles and Canaanites dwelling in America today. You were removed from your land, but you now see a lot of East Indian people returning, becoming allies of the Americans, operating in American government, calling themselves Indian Americans, because America is your true land. And that's why you have California. That's why you have a statue of Shiva inside of the Grand Canyon, which was originally Egypt proper, with 7,000-foot pyramids, and it was destroyed. The largest pyramids in the world are in America, and that's who the East Indian people are. The East Indian people are the true Egyptians, and the African diaspora are the true Shemites, and especially the enslaved African diaspora are Israel. And that's why everyone is being judged, and that's why you have to own your karma, your sin against the African diaspora, and even the colonization that you do today. And that's how you become an ally. And so here is a woman who is actually doing that, who's of East Indian background, and she's acknowledging that history, that we actually did rule the world. Take a look at this.
As the 4th century, from slaves to traders to rulers. And this is a really, really big deal. Everywhere from southern India to western India to eastern India. That means literal Pakistan, India, and Bangladesh were all ruled. India's most celebrated and powerful ruler is actually Ethiopian. And I have actually been here in 2009. India is so beautiful, and it's amazing that a lot of these mosques, temples, just beautiful historical sites like which is, I believe, where he's buried, were all built by Africans. And it's unfortunate that a lot of our history has been erased. And even standing right here, it says that some of these were built so well, and they were built over 500 years ago. And that's freaking insane. By the 1700s, that's when the Europeans started to invade. And when they invaded, they brought slaves. The slave trade was huge in the region of Bengal, which is now Bangladesh. The most interesting part about all of this is that by the 17th century, Africans were ruling Bengal. Southern India and Bangladesh are known to have darker skinned people, though it is diverse, as many people still have Persian and East Asian features. Also, this is my beautiful mom and my handsome dad.
So even Herodotus called what is now India, Ethiopia, because it was part of the Shemitic lands. Herodotus called what is now India Eastern Ethiopia because it is part of the Shemitic lands, not Hamitic lands.
So you notice how Sudanese looks so, because he's a mix between East Indian, between Shem and Ham. See? And when you look at the war in Sudan and Darfur and stuff, you'll see a lot of people who look just like this. And they're not necessarily East Indians, they're the mix. Okay?
Because it is part of the Shemitic lands, not Hamitic lands. This is the genealogy of Ham. You see Put, Cush, Nimrod, all of these in the line of Cush, and Canaan, who is China, okay? And the Amorites, who are the Americans, Sheba, these are all the East Indian bloodlines under Ham. Here, the European or Japhethites mixed with the Hamites to become the Mao people by mixing with the Canaanites, and also other nations of Ham mixed with Japheth. China is Canaan because it has a Canaan winery, the Canaanites. The legends of India discuss 3 cities, Shiva and the god of Kalias, California, and Shiva in America. The temples of Sri Lanka are indicated by the Lion of Judah because this was the land of Shem. This is the place, I believe, where the Assyrians or the King Nebuchadnezzar took the Egyptians captive and scattered them to way back in the past. And that's why the Indians are here in these lands. But there was another scattering during the time of the European rule, sending all the East Indians into what is called India now, but it was really Ethiopia, the land of Shem. So the Lost Tribes of the Promised Land is the book that cites Ethiopia as being South America, Ethiopia today, and as well India was called Ethiopia. And this is cited here, the 3 Indias, page 42 of the Lost Tribes of the Promised Land. And Seti from the kingdom of Cush, and these are the Puttites and Cushites ruled in Lemuria, which was when the landmass for the Hamites was much larger, but it got thrown into the sea. So what you see is the beginning of Sri Lanka connecting to Africa with the lands off the coast of Africa to the east there. That was all part of the land of Ham, but it got thrown into
Madagascar
to the sea and dismantled. So I am all for all the positive things that you said in this video and trying to be an ally, but the only way you're going to escape your karma is to also admit to the current colonization of the African diaspora. But clearly, with East Indian executives now running YouTube, Kamala Harris, who is East Indian on her female side, vice president, and we see a lot of influence, especially from Sharma running First Post, her channel. We see a lot of alliances forming, but we see the colonization continuing in some ways. And the only way it's going to be escaped is if you admit to it and become an ally, because it's the creator now who's judging everybody and who is going to do the great reset. The enemies of our people are going to try and do their own, but ultimately the creator will prevail. And the prophecy to the East Indians is that they will ally with us, be on our side, and be among the first repatriated to the creator and be considered allies of us because they were in the past. So that's your promise. But everyone has to return to their own land to avoid the curse.
So, just close that. Sorry, let me put my mic back. All right. So, so what is, I always go into that scripture where it talks about, have you come to take a spoil, right? So that's when, let me just share it here. A lot of this is review, but I have so many people coming on my channels and they're like, they don't know this stuff. And I repeat it over and over again in videos. So I just am in a place now where I feel like I just need to repeat a lot of stuff, just repeat it for the new people and repeat it even for the people who've been around for a while, because you know, most people who've been on my channel know, not everybody clearly, right? I mean, I'm not teaching it well enough because everyone's like, JFAB? No, Ham, they're Hamites. So anyway, yeah, so the scripture here is in Ezekiel 38, when this is when Gog and Magog attacks. This is when Israel is back in the land, dwelling in all unwalled villages, and they're at rest and safe, all of them dwelling without walls, having neither bars nor gates. And they say, he shall say, to take a spoil, to take a prey, to turn thy hand upon the desolate places which are now inhabited, upon the people that are gathered out of the nations, which have gotten cattle and goods, that dwell in the midst of the land. So this is when Gog and Magog says, this will come into your mind. I will go up to that land, right? Of the people of unwalled villages. And then it says, in Sheba and Dedan, and the merchants of Tarshish, with all the young lions thereof, shall say to thee, art thou come to take a spoil? Hast thou gathered thy company to take a prey, to carry away all the what? What is Russia carrying away right now? Silver and gold. Silver and gold. I'd rather have Yahusha than silver and gold. No fame or fortune. Anyway, so, and cattle and goods to take a great spoil. Okay. So, so this is, you see the alliance here ultimately is, this is the sons and daughters of sons of Abraham and Keturah, but this is also Egypt. Okay, Cush. Okay, and the merchants of Tarshish. So this is Japheth and this is Ham. Okay, allying with Yasharel. All right. So let's keep going. I have other little videos to show you. Another video I have to show you is, you know, Don Lemon got released. And this is really interesting. Let me just see here. I got to find it. Yeah, here it is. So interesting. Who is running for the Republican Party? Who's running for the Republican Party for president? Who's been being, like I said, who's being repatriated to their land? It's being repatriated to their land. And who's running for president? And who gets fired off of this person who's running for president? Let's find out. Well, let me see. It's Ramses. What? What did you say? What was his name? Well, it's Ramses. Ramses is running for president. Did you hear what I said, family? Ramses, Shalom Puchta, Ramses is running for president. East Indian, Ramses, running for president. So what he's talking about is he is talking about how the Republican Party, now that's why we've got that video both on my YouTube and TikTok, where Ann Coulter is talking from the conservative perspective about how, you know, Black people, they're trying, anyways, the Republicans, long story short, are trying to rope in the Israelis. Both are always trying to get that authority and that power on their head away from the Israelites, right? So this is the Republicans courting that vote. And he comes in saying, you know, that one of the reasons for the Civil War was so that Black people could have the right to bear arms, right? And that was part of their freedom journey. Of course, we know the reason for the Civil War. We know that Lincoln was mixed. We know that it was really for the northern part of America, the British part of America, to overcome the southern French part of America, which was still dependent on the plantation system, as the French are today. And So that was the reason for the war, was that the northern industrialists wanted more control, and Britain wanted more control, the English-speaking people, than the French over America. And so it was a war of capitalism. And the capital, of course, is the people, right? The heads, right? And so anyway, they're having this debate. You can take it either way you want. You could be on his side, maybe not. But this is how John Lemon gets fired over this interaction. Okay, so John Lemon, the Hebrew Israelite or Edomite, we don't know what he is. He could be an Edomite, but representing the Shemitic people anyway, is having this debate with Ramses. Is it Ramses? Yes, it is. He's having a debate with Ramses. Swami, how I love you, my dear old Swami. Ram Swami. Okay? Sorry, but it's just this. It's this obvious, family. It's this obvious. It's just really just slap you in the face with it. So let's just listen to a bit of their discussion.
Go on. I took up a lot of time with Fox.
Oh, it's fine. We have time.
I don't really see what one has to do with the other, especially consider and using the Civil War to talk about Black Americans. That war was not fought for Black people to have guns. That's not.
That war was fought for Black people to have freedoms in this country. Yeah. Actually, that's why the Civil War was fought.
Okay.
And the sad part about it,
that wasn't fought for Black people to have guns. I think.
Actually, you know, funny fact is, Black people did not get to enjoy the other freedoms until their Second Amendment rights were secured. And I think that that's one of the lessons that we learned.
Black people still aren't allowed to enjoy the freedoms.
I disagree with you on that, Don. I disagree with you. And I think you're doing a disservice to our country by failing to recognize the fact that we have equality before the law.
And you live in this country, then you can disagree with me. But we're not. You mentioned in here that we have three different shades of melanin.
Don, I think we have to be able to talk about these issues in the open, regardless of the color of our skin. Black Americans today, to say that, compare that to 1865 and 1964,
I think for you to compare it to 1865 and
have equal rights in
1964
this
is
country.
actually, I think it's insulting to Black people. It's insulting to me as an African American. I don't want to sit here and argue with you because it's infuriating for you to put those things together. It's not right. Your telling of history is wrong.
What part of the history was wrong?
What part of the history was wrong? That the Civil War was fought. You're making people think that the Civil War was fought for Black people, only for Black people to get guns and for Black people to have.
The Civil War was fought for Black people in this country to get freedoms, a noble mission. And I think that even after we succeeded, we had to actually secure those freedoms.
To reduce it in a speech at the NRA to say you're making people think, or you're trying to say that Black people to get guns, that was the reason that you're there at the NRA. That was the reason for the Civil War.
It is a fact.
That's reductive.
It's not
and
reductive,
I think it's
Don.
Insulting. There are a whole plethora of reasons that for the Civil War.
With due respect, I find your explanation reductive and actually insulting, including to Black Americans, to say that Black people today, compared to 1964, 1865, haven't made progress in part because of the freedoms we secured. And the Second Amendment was part of what secured them that freedom.
I cannot keep a thought if you guys are talking to me in my ear. So hang on one second. So to say that Black people, say what you said again?
Black people secured their freedoms after the Civil War. It is a historical fact, Don. Just study it. Only after their Second Amendment rights were secured.
They were not secured their freedoms after the Civil War. That is not, you are discounting Reconstruction. You're discounting a whole host of things that happened after the Civil War when it comes to African Americans, including the whole reason that the Civil Rights Movement happened is because Black people did not secure their freedoms after the Civil War, and that things turned around. People tried to change the freedoms that were supposed to happen.
And you know how they got it? They got their Second Amendment rights, and they actually got the NRA played a big role in that. But today, Don, the NRA
did not play a big role.
Absolutely, they trained Black Americans how to use firearms.
That's a lie. That's not. The NRA did not play a big role.
This is just historical fact.
But not historical fact.
The part that I find,
because you say it's historical fact,
the part that I find insulting is when you say today Black Americans don't have those rights after we have gone through civil rights revolution in this country.
You are sitting here telling an African American about the rights and what you find insulting about the way I live, the skin I live in every day.
Here's where you and I have a
the
different
freedoms
point
that
of view.
Black and white that Black people don't have in this country, and that Black people do have.
Well, here's where you and I have a different point of view. I think we should be able to express our views regardless of the color of our skin. We should have this debate
I'm not saying you
without me regarding you as a Black man,
insulting that
but
you're
me regarding you
here,
as a fellow citizen.
That you're
That's what I
sitting
think we should
here,
see.
whatever ethnicity you are, explaining to me
whatever ethnicity
about
I'm,
what it's like to be black
whatever
in America.
ethnicity I'm, I'll tell you what I am. I'm an Indian American. I'm proud of it. But I think we should have this debate. Black, white, doesn't matter.
I think we should have this
on
debate.
the content of the
If you're
ideas.
going to do it, you should do it in an honest way and in a fair way. And what you're doing is not an honest and fair way. Okay? But we appreciate you coming on.
With due respect, Don, I look forward to continuing that conversation.
We'll
Thank
continue
you.
the conversation.
Thank you
so much.
Thank you, Pop.
So notice how he says he's an Indian American. He points it out. Okay. He's saying who he is. He's Ramses. Okay. And so he's telling on himself completely. You would have to be really lost not to see this. He's also Al Jolson, Swami, how I love ya, how I love ya. Swami. That's always referring to East Indian people. Okay, this is Ham. All right, now notice he wanted to engage in this discussion with him objectively because he's assuming that he's flying at 33,000 feet objectively because he's not black. And he's disrespecting the black person, or I hate that word black, the Shemite perspective. Okay, he's being anti-Semitic because he's saying we should be able to have this conversation as people, not with you as a black Shemite. In other words, you can't speak for yourself or as a person of the African diaspora. You could, in an objective way, you can only speak in an objective way if you're like me, seeing everything at 33,000 feet. You know, I see the big picture because this is like the same white racism, which is coming from the Hamites, actually, because it's coming from the Canaanites, right? So this is again white supremacy, because he's saying only I can be objective. And when you speak as a person of the diaspora, as a black man, you're subjective. You're not objective. Because I'm not one of you, I'm more objective about what's going on with you. It's totally racist. But anyway, I just wanted to show you. Okay, and he got fired over this. Now, someone could say, oh, it's because the way he talked to the people who were talking in his ear. He was talking to CNN. No. You've seen these people go buck wild on these shows because he's a black man. That's what it is. And I think he's LGBTQ. I mean, I don't know what he is, but it's just clear that that's what's going on. Ramses here, though, did have some valid points because the Republicans were originally more supportive of African Americans and aligned with them. And even Lincoln talked about repatriating the diaspora back to Africa, recognizing that they were true Israel. Okay, and I think that's in documents on the Smithsonian site. So I just thought that was very interesting because we're seeing who these people are, right? We're seeing these are the Hamites, and they're finally repatriating back to their land. All right, and like I said in my other videos, we're seeing this whole bias towards Somalians and a lot of this sort of Nilotic Africans returning to North America. So they're returning to their land. All right. So let me stop this share and continue, family. How are you doing, you guys? I know I haven't paid much attention to TikTok. Sorry, I got on TikTok really late, family, but I appreciate you being here and listening. I haven't been talking to you quite as much. I have to figure out my lives with my TikToks a bit better. So I kind of rushed into this. And like I said, I was having these tech issues with my Word document. And that's why I'm broadcasting at night in the dark. So I suppose I should turn a light on. I'll see what I can do. But yeah, I just thought that was very, very interesting. Let's see what other videos I have here. I did have some other videos I wanted to show you. Talk amongst yourselves, talk amongst yourselves. They're in here. What is this? I may have to go into my TikTok. Yeah, I think I didn't download them. Eh. All right, let's go into TikTok. If I can do it, if I don't get in trouble, because I'm broadcasting at the same time, so sometimes it messes with it. If I go in on Safari, because you can't use Chrome because they're competing. TikTok, Google hates TikTok. All right, I think it's under my liked videos. Maybe I'll share so you guys can have a little more to look at than me. Well, let me find it first. Everyone else on TikTok can see it. I just need to try and turn a light on here for a second, fam. I'm gonna try. I don't know if I can find the light switch thing. I don't think I see it anywhere. For my ring light. Where are you, light switch? I may just have to use this other light, which I don't like. I don't like to use it. It just feels funny. I'm like so sensitive. Ugh, it's like a weird light. I don't like the way it feels. Okay. Sorry for the boring sofa. Let's see here. Okay. I think that's a little better light wise. Yeah, you guys can see me better. And let me find the TikTok video. Okay. Yeah, it's just kind of a little update on the whole. One of the things that's also happening is that they are protesting in France, and the people are keeping power away from the wealthy and rich and giving it to hospitals and families and kids and stuff. So, and they've taken over BlackRock. This is all the stuff they're saying they're doing. They've taken over transport. So they are actually setting a really good example for the power of the people. But once again, you know, France is living off 100% living off of Africa, 100%. Like when they go down, they're going nowhere forever. They're going completely upside down because they have no independent economy of their own. And so that's what the people are dealing with. They're just talking about they want their 65, you know, they want their pension at 62, not 64. You know, they don't even understand that none of the money that they've had all this time is theirs. So it's kind of, it's going to be quite the culture shock for them. But they are an interesting example of what you can do when you organize and protest in a really high functioning way, because that Macron is dealing with that while he's dealing with getting people out of the Sudan and everything. So trying to keep good relations with America and with, oh, here's something really interesting. Trying to keep good relationships with America and the Chinese. But there's an interesting article, where is it? There's an interesting article on French fries. And I'm like wondering, you know, several people have brought it up, this French fry thing. And I'm like, is this about French fries are unhealthy and they eat them a lot in Belgium and France? French fries aren't good for us. It's a Chinese study. It's saying French fries will kill you. They're like, is this some more coded stuff? Like, like you just never know, right? Like, because it's a study from China. French fries aren't good for us. It's like, really, like you're doing this trans and saturated fat, and they go deep off into it. And I'm like, why are you going so deep off into this? Is this like a code? Like, you're saying China's saying that French aren't good, like they're not, it's not a good, it's got not a good match to go with China, like to go with. Oh, wait, here's something I wanted to share with you guys. I kept saying that Cathay is China. So it's Chata, not Cathay. Like you can't confuse them. All right. So it's a place in Tartar name for North China. Okay, is Cathay. So Cathay is a Semitic land. Okay. Let's see. Get rid of that. I'm just looking for this. I'm looking for this article on the French fries. Oh, I keep forgetting. It's Russia smuggling gold, ban gun conference. Went over all the Chata stuff. Okay, so it's not this one. It's gonna be this one, which I'm already in. Let's see. They're like, whatever ethnicity you are. I mean, that comes off of, the whole brown thing, like people conflating, like, the reality is that no one has suffered as much as the African diaspora, nobody on the planet. And so the fact is that, like I said, I like to watch, what is it, Palki Sharma? But she did a really, I think I'm going to play that video for you from their channel. But she does this whole breakdown of how many people they've got in oh, I think I found the French fries. How many people they've got in, I'll play it for you, in the Sudan. And then you're thinking, oh my gosh, you're controlling government, you're controlling the unification of North and South, you're controlling like major communications and government roles, as well as, like high level roles. It's very clear, that India's had colonized Sudan on a certain level. So then she pivots over to this other story about how Germans are racist against India in order to deflect away from the fact that they're colonizers in Africa. You know what I mean? So like, I'm not trying to hate on the Indian people. I'm just saying that, and, the Egyptians, I just said all these promises are there for them and they will become allies, right? So I think I'm being pretty fair and balanced. But, oh shoot, what happened with my TikTok? What the heck? Oh my goodness, I lost my TikTok. I don't know how I did that. Yeah, somehow I lost it. Now I got it back. But yeah, so the French fries. This was just kind of, I just thought, this is weird. Why are they talking? They always bring back the French fries. But I'm thinking it means a little bit more. But I may be reading into it. You know me, you guys. So let's just, let me share this. Where is my Zoom? Totally lost my Zoom now. Oh, there I am. Okay, just resuming. Sorry, fam, on TikTok. I lost you for a second. Well, more than a second. I didn't even realize I lost you. Uh-oh. Yeah, here, I flipped the camera. All right, so you can see me. All right, so now I'm going to share this whole fried food thing. So they're talking about French fries may be linked to depression. Another quote that was said was, they're not good for us, US. So they're not good for the French, and they're not good for China, and they're not good for the Americans. The French, they're not good for anyone. That's why French are trying to rule over the And they're eaten most in Belgium, and you know Belgium's in the Congo. So like what what are they saying? So they risk higher anxiety. It's a greasy, starchy food. This is fried foods having a negative impact on health, causing all these health issues, increase your depression. And then they say in moderation. Oh, this may not be it's a comfort food. And then they talk about same goes for zebrafish. Who fries zebrafish? I don't even know. Like who's thinking about zebrafish? I don't know. And this is like CNN. So I don't know. I don't know if they're talking about mixed people. I don't know. I just thought it was kind of interesting. So there's a certain chemical that's in French fries that's also in zebrafish that is kind of poisonous. Anyway, this is not the best example, because in the other examples they were saying they're not good for US and then linked to depression, and I don't know. Anyway, the joke is lost. I'm sorry. But okay, now what was I going to show you guys? Oh yeah, the TikTok videos. Okay, so I'm trying to find that for you guys. I'm just trying to show you war-wise what's going on. I thought this crying guy is so funny. Just trying to find you guys a video on all of the invasions. If I can't find it, I'm just going to get out of here right quick, because I just want to show you how many people, like the massive airlifting schemes going on, pulling people out of the Sudan. Oh, this is a funny video, just as a sidebar. This is a total sidebar, but it's funny. Robot shuts down, commits suicide after algorithm decides it didn't like doing the same manual labor over and over again. See, the robot shut down because it couldn't do the same thing over and over again. The algorithm couldn't handle it. Interesting, huh? I think that's funny. Did the robot even find someone to cover the rest of their shift before dying? Comments are funny. Maybe they should try to motivate it by dangling 13 cents an hour and raise 4 whole vacation days at the end of the year. What about a pizza party every Friday? Anyway, I think it's funny, but I think I might move on to this video, going back to first, because I can't see the video. Maybe if I just do a search, find it. It's just like about all the airlifting. It's kind of, I've already verbally summed it up. I don't know if I have to show you guys a video at this point. Let me stop this share. Yeah, maybe I'll just show you guys that video. I hate it because I do these videos and then I'm always like, oh, I forgot this and I forgot this and I forgot this. I'm just like, and I try to stick it in the pull down menu. But long story short, family, is the things I want to sum up is that, you know, India is kind of playing both sides. They're siding with the Americans because it's brother killing brother. They're fighting with China. They're competing with China. They're emphasizing China's bloated economy and their financial crash, and how their own banking system is really crashing the Chinese. They're emphasizing the fact that a lot of manufacturing is going to India. India is spending the fourth largest sum of money on military. And so they become an ally for that reason to Australia and to the United States. The Indians are Egypt, and they are repatriating back to Egypt as promised in scripture. They are the true Egyptians, the true Hamites, the East Indians. Okay, that's why they know how to build. That's why they know how to do chemistry. That's how they know how to do the sciences, seances. Okay. And of course, we had Ramses returning, and we talked about the fact that the Chaldeans, even the Indians, are going to be shielded against their judgment as Egypt because they've been out of the land. And it is the Chaldean Shemites who, along with the Canaanites and the Philistines, which are the Greeks, the white Greeks and the white Canaanites and everything, and the Italians and everything, are going to be the Gentiles judged. Okay. So the East Indians, though, are Egypt, and they are returning to their land, and they are an ally of America because America is really their homeland, actually. But right now the Chaldeans have been ruling, and the Shemites have been ruling, and the Edomites have been ruling, and the Israelites have been enslaved, and consequently they all enslaved themselves here and have gone under the rule of the Canaanites and the Gentiles. Okay, so I wanted to show all those connections. Let me just see if I can find, I just need to find, let me see, I need to go into my Chrome and then see if I can pull up this video. All right. Oh, this old mummy found, who knows? Oh, I'm not opening that for. All right, so let me just find this for you guys. Do screen share. Okay. Had notes for these, but because I can't
on allies.
I can't access my Word document or change it. I don't know what I'm missing. Khartoum, Sudan. Okay, India rescues citizens from Sudan. So now you're going to hear about how many people are there and everything like that. And then you're going to see the pivot.
About this fighting and what's been happening there. Now, India is pulling out its nationals. Yesterday, 500 Indians were rescued, and in the days ahead, more will be returning home. There's a ceasefire in place now. It was brokered by the United States, and the United Nations is monitoring the situation.
I am in constant contact with the parties to the conflict, and I've called on them to de-escalate tensions and to return to the negotiating table. We will continue our efforts with our partners to secure a permanent halt to the fighting as soon as possible.
The ceasefire comes after 10 days of heavy fighting. It was so bad that Khartoum, the capital of the Sudan, turned into an active war zone. Quick primer. The Sudan is a country in Northeast Africa, one of the largest on the continent, also one of the poorest in the world. It's a predominantly Muslim country, and it has been caught in conflict. In 2021, there was a coup in the Sudan. The generals began running the country, and now they're fighting for power and control. On one side is General Abdel Fattah al-Burhan. He leads the Sudanese army. He's also the de facto president. On the other side is General Mohammed Hamdan Dagalo. He heads a paramilitary force called the RSF, the Rapid Support Force, RSF. Now, the RSF has close to 100,000 members. The debate is over who controls them and essentially who leads the country. And these two generals were once friends and allies. Together, they toppled.
See, look how East Indian he looks. Right? Look at how East Indian he looks. right? Let's keep it going.
Toppled a dictator just 2 years ago, and now they're fighting each other for power. The clashes began on the 15th of April. More than 400 people have been killed so far. At least one of them is said to be an Indian. There have been multiple attempts to stop the fighting. This is the fourth ceasefire announcement. The previous three in the last 10 days, were unsuccessful. What about this one? For the moment it's holding. They've declared a 72-hour-long truce. It's a narrow window to carry out evacuations, and it's a tricky and dangerous setting. New Delhi is attempting a daring rescue of Indians. How many of them are there? Close to 3,000 Indians are said to be in the Sudan. They're stranded across the country, and India is using all possible channels to rescue them. In the initial
3,000.
days, India relied on allies. Saudi Arabia and France pulled out some Indian nationals. We told you about this yesterday too. Saudi Arabia rescued 3 Indians. France rescued another 5. But many more remain stuck. So India has now deployed its own assets to get them out. This week, India moved 2 military aircraft and 1 naval ship for the operation. The ship, called INS Sumeda, is docked at Port Sudan. Port Sudan is some 850 kilometers from the capital, Khartoum, and the capital...
Why do they need all these military ships? Because they're really positioning for war. They're really positioning for war.
Is the current battleground. It's also where most people are stranded. The plan is to get Indian nationals to Port Sudan, to get them to board the ship and to bring them home. Here's what Prime Minister Modi said about the operation.
सूडान में गृह युद्ध के कारण हमारे अनेकों देशवासी.
Okay, so you got 1.5 billion people, but 3,000 I just like, this is not the story. The story isn't our 3,000 people in the Sudan. The story is our freaking money and gold is in the Sudan and our political influence is in the Sudan. That's what the story is. When you got 1.4 billion people and you're trying to get 3,000 back, no. I'm sorry.
फंसे हैं. हमने ऑपरेशन कावेरी का अभियान शुरू किया है और वहां से हमारे लोगों को सुरक्षित लाने का काम प्रारंभ हो चुका है और उसकी निगरानी के लिए हमारी केरल की ही संतान.
So happens that a lot of the Indians stuck in the Sudan belong to the state of Karnataka, hence the name Operation Kaveri. Apparently the Prime Minister himself chose this name. And this is not the first time that India has named a rescue mission after a river. Last year, remember, when the war in Ukraine began, India launched Operation Ganga. Ganga, as you would know, is another major Indian river, and the rescue operation from Ukraine was named after it. But this time, there's a political debate over the name. Another aspect of this story. What were all these people doing in the Sudan? Why were some 3,000 Indians there in the first place? A lot of you may not be aware of this, but India-Sudan connection dates back some 150 years. Some members of the Indian community have lived in the Sudan for decades. The first Indian to visit the Sudan was said to be a Gujarati, a trader who traveled to Sudan from Aden in the year 1856. Once there, he got his friends and family to join him. The community grew. Today it has some 1,200 Indians. They live there. Then there were those who went to work. Some 2,500 to 3,000 Indian citizens work in different sectors of the Sudanese economy. Some are employed with local UN missions. And India itself has had deep interest in West Africa. In the 1950s, India helped the Sudan organize its first general elections. India's election commission was involved in the effort.
Okay, so they're running Sudan through the UN. They're running the general elections. Let me repeat that. They're running the general elections of a country where there are only 3,000 people. There's 3,000 Indians running the general elections for all of Sudan and working with the UN.
And that's not all. Indian engineers helped in setting up the local railway network, also the sugar factories. Experts say India also played an important role in the birth of South Sudan. It's a separate country. It was
Okay,
created.
so they're running the sugar industry, plantation system, sugar factories. Okay, they're owning sugar factories, distribution of sugar. That's a major plantation like system resource for the last 150 years. Okay, now they're part of establishing South Sudan, running elections, running sugar industry. This is all colonization.
More than a decade back, and its creation ended a civil war that had dragged for almost 50 years. India was one of the first countries to open a consulate in South Sudan. In the year 2011, India recognized the government of South Sudan. In 2016, India carried out a similar rescue mission there. Clashes had broken out in South Sudan, and India rescued its citizens from there. So this is not new territory for India or for Indians.
So it sounds like the usual divide and conquer tactic that they are part of, splitting the country into South and North, and then getting your people out. It's the same right hand, left hand, conservative, Republican, divide my land, split my land, divide and conquer tactic. And they were part of it. 3,000 people.
Remain engaged in the region largely because of the oil reserves in the Sudan. Indian companies hold stakes across energy assets and blocks. So any conflict in the Sudan impacts India in more ways than one. The
oil industry. They're running the oil industry too. 3,000 people. So India is dependent on Sudan.
Immediate priority, of course, is to bring Indians to safety, but India should not hesitate in stepping up, in engaging with all its partners and ensuring that the ceasefire leads to a permanent truce.
And is it any of your business though? No, because how many people are you? 3,000? Is that your country? No. What you doing there? You shouldn't be there. You're colonized it. Who are you to ensure peace? I don't know. You know what I'm saying? It's like, so what she does here is she then pivots to a story.
A good cartoon is like
India's racist cartoon. So she pivots right from there to here so that we can't go, oh, wait a minute. 3,000 people in a country of millions running the oil industry, running the elections, running communications and transportation, splitting up the country, dividing north from south and establishing a government in the south, and then having to run and flee from there in planes. And working with the UN. So let's pivot over to how Germans are racist against us. So that's what she does.
Stinging
I love her analysis and everything, but you know what? It is what it is. I'm just showing you guys the landscape of the politics here and the games they're running. You know what I'm saying? So then they go on and on about the their trains and how they got 75% of their trains are bullet trains and 61% of the Germans are and they have more technology than the Germans, and Germans are being racist against them because they're deflecting from their own colonization of Africa. So
freedom for growth.
Now they talk about the banking crisis in China. There's a lot of interest. I really encourage you to watch her channel, to read between the lines. Yeah. I think that's pretty well all I need to show you guys.
Always the only one.
And they talk about this military spending, and of course that India's got the 4th largest military budget in the world. Okay, they're doing the fourth most spending. I don't know the way to put it, but that's what's going on with them. I wanted to go into some of the prophecies surrounding this because I love to integrate everything with prophecy and scripture and to encourage you guys. So we need to go back to that. Let me just see here. I just want to look at my notes. So as many as 19 countries want to join BRICS. So I've already told you, and the proof of the point of this was to show you that Russia's being financed by the Sudan. This poor country and blah, 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 blah. They're saying all this stuff, but yet they're sending out like planes full of tons of gold, right? So the entire BRICS is going to be, to sum up again, is going to be, BRICS is going to be financed by Africa on the gold standard. Okay, I think I'm getting closer to. Yeah, I went into the 3,000 Indians. And so let's look at Joel. And I think I already have these scriptures up. I think it's Ezekiel. Oh yeah, we already talked about Ezekiel. We already talked about the Chata. So remember the glory of the excellency of the Chaldeans, the Chata. So the enemies are of your own household, Israel. The enemies are of your own household, the Chaldeans. Just get these scriptures up so we can leave on an encouraging note. Encouraged by Yah. So I thought I had another window open. You know, I'm just so encouraged by some of the other channels. I was watching a channel the other day and they spent like 45 minutes setting their stuff up. I was like, okay, why am I worried about not taking my time? I was like, I gotta leave. I feel like we're still in the introduction here and we were an hour into it. Let me find the scriptures. Okay, so it's 2nd Esdras and Joel. I was like, I'll come back and watch this later. Yeah, I had to go an hour in to really get to the beginning. All right. Okay, so yeah, one of the things I wanted to say, and I'm going to read from Joel. I'm going to read the whole chapter because I'm liking things in context more these days. It really helps with my teaching and it helps you guys because I know you guys, people don't always have the time to read or the patience. Kind of we get jacked up on technology and it ruins our attention span. So for that reason, I'm going to try and read more things in context. Let's see here. So let's just do my share. I'm always surprised. All right. Yeah, so I truly believe that India is going to be making all the component parts and dealing with all the communications for the United States because they don't have any real tech manufacturing. So they have to depend on one of their foreign markets. That's right. They did it to themselves. And so I think India will just dismantle all communications when everyone turns against America. All right, so this is when Yah turns his hand to pity the people. And Babylon or Egypt won't be able to really have much communications going on and or be able to get from city to city or whatever because their communications are going to be a mess. Blow the trumpet in Zion and sound an alarm in my holy mountain. Let all the inhabitants of the land tremble. For the day of Yahuwah cometh, for it is nigh at hand, a day of darkness and gloominess, a day of clouds and thick darkness. As the morning spread upon the mountains, a great people and a strong, there hath not been ever the like, neither shall be any more after it, even to the years of many generations. A fire devour before them, behind them a flame burneth. The land is as a garden of Eden before them, and behind them a desolate wilderness. yea, nothing shall escape them. So these are the Hun. Okay, so this is when Israel was taken away and destroyed by the armies of the north. All right, so fire and devour before them, flame burneth behind them, and the land is a garden of Eden before them, and behind them a desolate wilderness. Okay, so that's what they've done to Europe. That's what they're doing in North America. They're doing it in Africa, the Canaanites. The appearance of them is as the appearance of horses and horsemen. So you know that the Hun really loved the horse wars. The noise of chariots on the tops of mountains shall they leap, like the noise of a flame of fire that devoureth the stubble, as a people set in battle array. All faces shall gather blackness. So you know when black people are sick, they get dark. They shall run like mighty men, they shall climb the wall like men of war, and they shall march everyone on his ways, and they shall not break their ranks, neither shall one trust another. They shall walk everyone in his path, and when they fall upon the sword, they shall not be wounded. They shall run to and fro in the city, and they shall run upon the wall, and they shall climb up on the houses, and they shall enter at the windows like a thief. The earth shall quake before them, the heavens shall tremble, the sun and the moon shall be black. So this is now the army of Yahuwah, okay? And the Lord shall utter his voice before his army, for his camp is very great. For he is strong that executeth his word, for the day of Yahuwah is great and very terrible. Who can abide it? Therefore now also saith Yahuwah, even turn unto me with all your heart, with fasting and weeping and mourning. So this is why I've been fasting, family. And I've been weeping and mourning. Rend your heart and not your garments. Turn unto Yahuwah your Elohim, for he is gracious and merciful, slow to anger, and of great kindness, and repenteth him of the evil. Who knoweth if he will return and repent and leave a blessing behind him, even a meat offering and a drink offering unto Yahuwah your Elohim. I've been wanting to do a drink offering, or like not a meat offering necessarily, unless like I don't have a grill or anything, but I've been thinking about a meat offering can also be grain, like a cake, right? A grain cake. And you can also pour out wine. Blow the trumpet in Zion, sanctify a fast, call a solemn assembly, gather the people, sanctify the congregation, assemble the elders, gather the children and those that suck at the breast. Let the bridegroom go forth out of his chamber, and the bride out of her closet. Let the priests and ministers of Yahuwah weep between the porch and the altar, and let them say, spare thy people, O Yahuwah, give not thy heritage to reproach, that the heathen should rule over them. Wherefore should they say among the people, where is their Elohim? Then will Yahuwah be jealous for his land and pity his people. Yea, Yahuwah will answer and say unto his people, behold, I will send you corn and wine and oil, and you shall be satisfied therewith. And I will no more make you a reproach among the heathen. Right? I mean, don't you guys find, I find the food that I eat now these days, it doesn't satisfy me. It doesn't satisfy me. But the food that we'll eat will be Yahuwah's food. And so it will not be GMO food and all that kind of stuff. And so we'll eat and be satisfied. But I will move far off from you the northern army, and I will drive him into a land barren and desolate, with his face towards the east sea, and his hinder part towards the utmost sea. And his stink shall come up, and his ill savor shall come up, because he hath done great things. So this is when Gog and Magog will come against us, I guess. Or even the west can be considered the north, right? Be not be afraid, ye beasts of the field, for the pastures of the wilderness do spring. For the tree beareth her fruit, and the fig tree and the vine do yield their strength. Be glad then, ye children of Zion, and rejoice in Yahuwah your Elohim, for he hath given you the former rain moderately, and he will cause to come down for you the rain, the former rain, and the latter rain in the first month. So that's in the spring. And I will restore to you the years the locust hath eaten, the cankerworm, the caterpillar, the palmer worm, my great army which I sent among you. Remember, he sent serpents in the wilderness. And now when we're in this land, we're having to deal with this onslaught through this you know, the chemtrails, the GMO, the 5G, all of this kind of stuff is the locusts and the things that eat away at us, our life force, right? But ye shall eat plenty and be satisfied, and praise the name of Yahuwah your Elohim, that have dealt wondrously with you. My people shall never be ashamed, and ye shall know that I'm in the midst of Israel, for I am Yahuwah your Elohim and none else, and my people shall never be ashamed. And it shall come afterward that I will pour out my spirit upon all flesh, and your sons and your daughters shall prophesy, and your old man shall dream dreams, and your young man shall see visions. So this is the time that we're in right now. And also upon the servants, upon the handmaids in those days will I pour out my spirit, and I will show wonders in the heavens and in the earth, blood and fire and pillars of smoke, and the sun shall be turned into darkness and the moon to blood before the great and terrible day of Yahuwah come. And it shall come to pass that whoever shall call on the name of Yahuwah our Elohah shall be delivered, for in Mount Zion in Jerusalem shall be deliverance, as Yahuwah hath said, and in the remnant whom Elohah shall call. Okay? So that is the promise. This army that Yahuwah sends is really interesting, because sometimes I'm like, that's the army from the north, and I'm like, oh, it's Israel. And then I'm like, because it talks about them not trusting each other, right? But then it's the army of Yahuwah, you know, but they're fire and there's desolation before and behind. So it's almost like sometimes I read it and I'm like, it's almost like a mirror image of the army that originally came against them that now turns into them and becomes them. They're now the army of vengeance. So it's an interesting picture that it paints. I've been through it many times, but I'm not going to go deep into it. Just go ahead and trust what you've read and what the Spirit has said through me as I read it to you. All right. And so yeah. So this is the end as well. Thank you. So this is the judgment of Babylon. Okay. Thy children shall die of hunger. This, I think I read this the other day. Yeah, set forth the beauty of thy countenance, the reward of thy whoredom shall be in thy bosom. Therefore shalt thou receive recompense, like as thou hast done unto my chosen, says Yahuwah. Even so shall Yahuwah do unto thee, and shall deliver thee into mischief. Thy children shall die of hunger, and thou shalt fall through the sword. Thy city shall be broken down, and all thine shall perish with the sword of the field. They that be in the mountains shall die of hunger, and eat their own flesh, and drink their own blood, for very hunger of bread and thirst of water. And in the passage, and thou as unhappy shall come through the sea and receive plagues again. And the passage, they shall rush on the idol city, and shall destroy some portion of thy land, and consume part of thy glory, and shall return to Babylon that was destroyed. And thou shalt be cast down by them as stubble, and they shall be unto thee as fire, and shall consume thee, and thy cities, thy land, and the mountains, and all the woods, and thy fruitful trees shall they burn up with fire, and thy children shall they carry away captive, and look what thou hast. They shall spoil it, and mar the beauty of thy face. So that's what's going to happen to Babylon. So, family, thank you for spending time with me. You can always watch this back again, Puchna. I'm sorry I'm doing this last minute. I'm going to be doing a lot more broadcasts this week. I try to post something in advance, but I'm also, you know, I've got so much going on. I'm just trying to get myself organized. So unfortunately, I'm not giving much notice, but I've got a lot of stuff in my back pocket. So I've always got like about 10 things in my back pocket that I've got to post. So But yeah, I think I pretty well covered anything, but always look for a little note or look for a post in the community tab of anything I've forgotten or that's relevant to this topic again. And may Yah bless you and keep you and cause his face to shine on you. May he be gracious, lift the light of his countenance and give you shalom. Please go to Into All Truth to get a membership. By the way, if you have a membership family, you have to go and sign up for it, for your membership, to download your books and stuff. You have to go to the membership page. If you have a membership, you'll be able to, members only page. Once you get a membership, you then sign in here, and then you get access to the membership page. Or you can just go ahead and go to the shop and you can buy the cookbook, or sorry, the lifestyle book or the calendar. Get that Moed Appointed Times calendar. It teaches you so much. So does Chaya Eat Life and Fast, about Hebraic lifestyle and health in the body and healing and the foods to eat and so on. And then you can get these shirts. I was going to wear this today, but I don't like to wash it and I don't like to sweat. So if I sweat, then I have to wash it, and I like to keep it looking really pristine. So, but yeah, so here's the t-shirts for Pay What You Owe, Let My People Go, and the door, Raish, Bayet, so the leader of the house, right? This is on the back of this. These two are both front and back is like this for both the hoodie and the t-shirt. Okay, so I appreciate your support or membership, and yeah, Subah Yahuwah Reb Aleph Yasharel, return, O Yahuwah, to the countless thousands of Israel. Boy, guys, thanks for watching. I'm kind of getting sleepy. Oh my goodness. I'm quite the lazy bones after I did that fast, man. It was like a long fast. I think altogether, I think I fasted. How many days did I fast? Yeah, I think it was about 30 days. So kind of wore me out. Still, I'm just kind of recovering. So I sleep a lot because I'm reshifting, and the big trial's coming, so I got to be all rested for it. And we're still, excuse me for yawning. Oh my gosh, you guys, we've been on here for a long time though. So I'm going to sign off, and I appreciate all of you. Gwendolyn, thanks for mediating. Lorraine Owens, Hazel Eugene, and you guys always just check out little things on my TikTok channel. I'll also repost a lot of stuff that's kind of on, like, relevant to the times we're in or the topics I'm researching. So you can always go into my repost page in TikTok. You can't go on the website, but you have to go in the app, and you'll see some things I'm looking at, so you can better understand when I refer to these things in my videos. Okay, because I'm always researching, because I'm a watchwoman. I'm appointed to tear down and to build up. To tear down, destroy? Absolutely. And to expose works of darkness? I still have to do my teaching on those wandering stars. It's coming up. And to plant and to build. So I'm heading hopefully towards planting and building, but I'm still exposing works of darkness. And that's what I'm called to do. People don't like it, but I can't help it. It just hurts my feelings every time. I would be crying if I didn't do the talking about the stuff that's going wrong. Which tribes were taken into captivity, and how, and which ones were prisoners of wars? Which tribes were already on this land? Okay, so you're going to have to go back and watch the whole video. Because that's what I talk about throughout the video. It's not a one word, it's not a one sentence, like, limited text that I can stick in here. You have to watch the whole video. So I do go into that. It's the Shemites, the Chaldeans, all of the degrees of the Shemites, the Edomites, the 10 tribes, and then the southern kingdom, and then everybody's brought here to Babylon. And I differentiate. Egypt is taken captive by Nebuchadnezzar and removed. Okay. as a judgment, removed from their own Egypt. So that's what the whole video is about. So you got to go back and watch it all. It's not a question you should ask at the end. It's so funny. Yes, I'm listening. Look at Stone. I'm looking at your comments. No, I say Yahusha. Yahusha. I don't say Yeshua. Yeshua means Yah blots out. But you're pretty funny, Stone X. Am I messianic? No, I'm not messianic. I'm an Israelite. Yasharel. So tribe of Levi and Judah, people of the diaspora, the slave trade, are the true Israelites. And so on my family's side in Jamaica, on my mother's side, I am Levi and Judah. And so from Nanny of the Maroons and the Bogles in Jamaica. And so I have that mantle on me to teach and also to tear down and do all this kind of stuff that I'm talking about from my grandfather, who was descendant of Nanny of the Maroons. And he anointed me when I was a little girl to be the priest and teacher of our family when I was 1. So, yeah. So anyway, that's my background. So they're descendants of the Ashanti tribe, which are a Levitical tribe in West Africa. And then the Bogles are Cameroonian, Coromante. Both of them are spoke Coromante. So that's Judah and Levi. If Jesus did not come down as Adam. Huh? People, if you want to sign off, you can sign off because the lesson's over. I'm just looking at these questions that this Stone guy has. I was just trying to understand. I don't know if you're male or female. I don't mean to insult you. I just can't tell from the name. Adam, Adame, Atom, Anosh, human type, not Karab type. That would make it a different being. What do you mean by Karab? No, the African diaspora is Israel. Okay. The diversity of the genetics of the Shemitic African diaspora, the African diaspora has the greatest amount of genetic diversity. Every nation in the world can come from them. Caucasian, Chinese, East Indian, nobody can create an African, none of those other people. An African can create every other ethnicity. So that's the first man, that's the Adamic man. That's the image of Yah. The frizzled hair, the high melanin count, okay? So that's what Shem, Ham, and Japheth looked like. And then as they got more corrupted and the Canaanite genes took over their, Satan corrupted the genetics, right? And through submission to Satan. And the 70 nations genetics got corrupted. The Shemites were the most pure, but the most pure of all were the Israelites because they followed the way of Yahuwah and they held most closely to the Adamic image, which is why the greatest intellectuals, musicians, singers, athletes come from the Shemitic people, and the Shemitic people built America, built everything, built the whole world, invented everything. So, and this is Babylon, and the Shemitic people are enslaved to Babylon. It's the final captivity. Yeah. Adam humor rather than, this is like Jesus came down as, okay. Man, the doctrine out there. Are you guys reading this? I mean, at this point, all I can do is, I'm not laughing at you. I'm just like, where are you getting this from? It's like I said, the spirit is withdrawing. Sound doctrine, people will no longer tolerate it. The Spirit is withdrawing. This is what I'm telling you guys, listening to this doctrine. Adam human rather than angelic Karab. Jesus came down as the beast of the field type and the anonym creator. So I just went over all of this about the Anunnaki, right? And so he's anonym or the creator. That's the Anunnaki. That's the fallen angels. Like, it's just totally reversed. Upside down. That's a man walking around with a head poking out of his butt. That's just a spider. That's like Satan. That's just so satanic. It's just like sound doctrine. They will not put up with sound doctrine. I'm not meaning to stone, not meaning to target you, but that is just so bass backwards, upside down and inside out. So it's just pure Satanism. That's just all that is. Just so obvious. It's just like peppering your face and coming at you like a rainstorm or a sandblaster. It's just so obvious. I don't know why. I feel bad when people don't see it, but it's just, it is what it is. I can't really help too much. You know, that's it. So the anonym are Anunnaki. That's fallen angels. Okay. I don't know what you're talking about when you say Karib. No, Jesus wasn't the beast of the field. The beasts of the field and the fowls of the air are always the Gentiles. They're always the Gentiles. The sheep and the trees are Israel. Okay. So the Savior could never be a beast. Satan is the beast. So like the metaphors are confused. The just your foundation is just not there. I have a lot of teachings on my channel. I just would really encourage you to read through them. It's just like, I don't know what to do. I'm just like, I wish I could help. Family, put some video links in for these people. Like, go and find their StoneX and send them some links. Yeah, I know, Hazel. I'm like a little trolly. It's just so, you guys, just perfect example of upside down and inside out. Anytime it's upside down and inside out, we know who that is. I just don't know what to tell you. It's like I see it and I'm just like, oh my goodness. Wow. Yeah, Gwendolyn's like, block them. Yeah, it's just so, I mean, but it's just kooky. Stone, I'm sorry, it's just so kooky. You know what I mean? It's just like, really, like, it's just so upside down. And it's just like, after all the beautiful teaching that Yah gave us and the clarity on, I'm just like, fire burned that. I can't see it. Fire burned that. Fire burn that. Yeah. Yeah, fire burn that. Just watch as many videos as you can on my channel. I don't even really have them organized like according to Torah teachings. And, I have some of those, but you're just going to have to go through it. What you're teaching is just so far away from the truth. It's just like, I just would rather that you don't really say anything else. Yeah. Anyway, shalom, everybody. Have a blessed evening. I love you all who are in the truth of Yahuwah. Thank you for the encouragement. Thank you for sharing, for being here. And yeah, I'm here to serve. I may, try to run away again. I really can't stop. I'll just be like, I'll be in a cave somewhere. Like, you'll be like, or up in a tree somewhere. You'll be walking in the wilderness. You'll be like, where is all that talking coming from? And it'll be me. I'll be there. And it says, it's just like literally, I just can't stop. It's horrible. I mean, it's not horrible. I'm blessed, right? But it's like, it won't ever stop. It may just be the crowds get smaller. But anyway, I'm going to say bye. Shalom. And shalom to TikTok. Shalom, TikTok. Thanks for watching. Thanks for watching. Love you all in Yahuwah. So TikTok's gone. And now I'm going to